What is up, digital world? Win rate 0% back once again. I am your host for today, Cobb, and I am joined by the usual Bryce.
Heyo.
He's back, and we have Adam, Red Star.
Hello, I am here.
And this week we are also joined by a fantastic guest. We have Renji from RenjiPls. He is here.
What is happening? Hello, thank you for having me.
You're welcome, mate. Always a pleasure. Renji has been going to our locals for some time now. He is a major part of our community, and he is also an epic streamer and online man, so please give him some attention online. He loves the Digimon, as we all do, right?
We do love the Digimon.
We do.
It needs to be said.
I love the Digimon.
It's so good, man. Renji is made his way into my heart as another man who loves locals that much. He's always there. He's so into it. And we love the passion for the game, man. We just love that sort of stuff.
It needs to be done. Your local scene's everything, right?
It is, man. And like I've spoken before about how our locals has been kind of up and down. Big games have came out. Lorcana, One Piece, Star Wars is out now. So it's been going up and down, and it's good to see big new faces coming in. It's been great. So how's locals been going for everybody? Everybody that's been going, huh? Adam.
I've been at locals. I was there. I went to one locals.
Bro, showing up and leaving at 6 doesn't count.
No, I went to one locals to play my Omnimon Zwart control deck.
Yeah.
I played in one of the Spring Break Double Typhoon Cup thing events with Dog.
This is true.
I went to some Saturday testing for a little bit. Renji can confirm, although I left when he arrived, and then I also then came back for a while.
And then left once I was free again. It was a great day, yeah.
Jesus. Imagine inviting him onto the pod, Adam. It sounds like you don't like him, but they disappearing every time he shows up and arriving when he shows up. Like, what the hell?
I was so excited.
Mixed that. But yeah, man, I wish I could go to some more of the Sunday or Saturday locals testings. It seems quite fun. I just end up being quite busy the weekend most of the time. But
oh yeah, but when I'm busy, it's a fucking crime. But when you're busy, it's fine.
Adam, you go to a locals once a year,
True.
man.
I'm a judge, bro. I don't play. I'm bad at the game.
Truer words, bro. Truer words.
You shut up as well.
Bryce, you're lucky, man. You're lucky you've been showing up recently, because I've been hounding you for months about the lack of
bro.
locals.
I think I've only been to one since we recorded the last pod, and it's with the Kentauros deck we've built, which I swear I will have done before this goes up. So this won't be a mythical fucking deck list that doesn't exist.
Bro, please don't make this take 2 weeks to edit so that you can get the Kentauros up before it. I swear to God, if you do that, I'll not be happy.
The
Kentauros,
He's done it once, man. He's done it once.
Well,
maybe if I didn't have to edit.
Maybe if I didn't have to edit out all of that typing in the background.
You don't?
Well, I take personal pride that I do.
Well, that's good, mate. I hope everybody's been enjoying the slight audio upgrades we've been having. Bryce has got a new mic as well.
Bryce is no longer recording with a fucking potato plugged into his phone.
We have taken the Pringles can off of the mic.
Renji's gonna show us all up this week, man. This guy's audio is silky smooth, honestly.
I think my microphone costs more than all of my Digimon decks combined. So
what?
That's That's impressive, bro. Given how many decks you have.
Actually, maybe not. That's a fucking lie.
Yeah.
But maybe, you never know.
More than the BT15 decks or something like that, right?
Yeah. We'll go with that.
I want to know what microphone he has now. I'm so curious.
I've got a Shure SM7B, one of the old ones, not the new podcast focused ones.
I don't know
just
what that
got
is.
60 quid podcast mic.
It's like every microphone that you'll ever see someone recording a vocal in a studio with. Like, that's the only reason I wanted it.
That's fair, man. If it's that popular, it must be for a reason.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I'll link you.
I recognise these. They have these on my fucking course. These are decent mics.
You'll probably like the shape. It's so
Your first aid course?
I mate, my first aid course. We just shove a mic in their throat and see if they start breathing.
What the fuck?
I mean, if they don't, then they're dead, right? So
yeah,
they must be. If they just end up taking the mic in their mouth, then
Take it.
R.I.P.
That's how you're sure.
Take
Man,
it.
This is a good Digimon podcast so far. We've been talking so much about Digimon, it's crazy. I think we should probably end it here. We've talked enough about Digimon.
Yep.
It's exactly how I thought it was
Right.
going to go, to be fair.
Somehow it's still 3 hours long.
Another
What
Dragon
have we,
Ball
we've
rant.
heard? We've heard a wee bit about Adam, what he's been doing. He's been on the Omni Mega Zoo and he's been showing up. Bryce has had a wee run of the yellow. I mean, he's the yellow fellow, right? But he's been having a run of the yellow Kintaurus.
We were
I've been
so
playing-
fucked when we built that, by the way. That deck is so jank. That's,
Nobody knows. Nobody's gonna watch the 2-hour Kintaurus build. Like I'm
nah,
telling
bro,
you.
they're gonna look at the last. They're gonna look at the last slate of it and be like, "What the fuck did these guys build?"
I know, it's crazy. It was all over the place. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
building a deck with 3 people is going to be absolute chaos, especially if, like, we've got one guy who plays yellow. He knows it pretty well, but doesn't really play any other versions, like the Trash Making Taurus Patter.
I do not play aggro.
And then we've got, like, Adam who doesn't play them, and then me who doesn't play them, and we're all
So you're going to
chipping
say
in.
Adam, who doesn't play, and I was about to get upset.
Adam who
True
doesn't
words.
play very much, and then there's me. But aye, Renji, what have you been on at locals recently? You're quite a chameleon at locals, right? You're swapping between a lot of decks to fit the situation.
Yeah, I think it's the now diagnosed ADHD. I can't make the undiagnosed joke anymore.
Oh,
I just like playing, like, I just like variant, I suppose. Like, it's just, keeps it going.
everybody's got their own different styles, right?
Yeah, it's kind of fun, and I think it's because I'm used to playing, like, I had like a big stint of playing like Hearthstone for like 5-6 years, and I think like Hearthstone kind of like breeds you into like the habits of just trying to play loads of different stuff. Not always, right? People like hardcore like a class or something, but I used to do the same. A new set would come out and I'm like, oh, like I want to try this hunter deck and this mage deck and blah, and that is transferred over to Digimon, except it costs considerably more money.
Yep.
But yeah, like I was playing Melga for a wee while because I wanted to do like a post ban video, and I was determined to like figure it out and try and do something, and I just kind of don't know. I feel like I like, bored myself with it after a wee while.
It's a hard cookie to crack. I think the new Melga situation, like, it's not as obvious as it was in BT9 or when the ban list wasn't out in Japan. It was pretty straightforward, but now you're kind of like, what am I doing here? Am I going more control-y? Am I trying to focus on trying to griddy someone as fast as possible? It's a bit of a tough one.
Totally, and I think the biggest like thing that I found with Melga is like the meta's just not the same. And I know that makes sense, but like it's not something that you really consider. You're just like, oh cool, I'll just make it blue and go burr, but like like that just doesn't hold up anymore because now there's so many like there's so many answers to that now that just make it difficult. So some of the new cards are cool. I do think it does sit more as like a control build. But I think the problem with that is that there's so many other decks that you could play that just do it better that I don't think it deserves light of day. But
that's a problem I think a lot of decks have now. Like, it's we're gonna do a tier list later today, guys. That's what I should have said at the start of the video. But yeah, we're gonna be doing a tier list breaking down each of the decks that may be in the meta right now or have had support recently. And that, I think, looking at some of them, that is a running theme I've had. It's like, what is the unique part of this deck's win con, right? Like, how does it play into the meta? And yeah, I think you might be onto something, man, trying to make it more control orientated. A lot of this, it's a weird deck though. Like, see the fact that they hit all the purple Gabus. Like, I think all the purple Gabumon pieces are actually like almost unquestionably more powerful than the other things, apart from like the limited stuff. But it's like, oh, do I put them in? My consistency is humped if I do that. It might not be able to evo over certain things, or it just makes things awkward at times. So I'll be interested.
Yeah, that was my like biggest problem with it, right? Because like when I first built it, I was like a kind of purple egg base running like the BT6 Sunomons because he's a good boy and I've got alt arts, which is also a driving force in what I play, right? It's like, well, I've got an alt arts, I need to make it work. So like, but yeah, like I was running purple base, the purple Gabus for the starter decks, the Garurumons that let you play out like the mats when they get hit in security and stuff. And I found it when I was like building it up, man, I'd have like 2-3 stacks, and I was like, this actually feels quite good. And then I'm like, oh, but the internet says I should play blue, and that's better. And then I became like a 1-stack Andy and lost all my locals, and I was just like, this just isn't it. So I think there's something in there. I think there's some sort of like purple base Melga control thing that works, and just put Ukomon and Levia in for meta reasons, right? Because that's just how it works. But
Every
yeah.
deck do be just trying to slam Ukomon in. Like,
Honestly.
there was a guy from Australia I was watching, because I've been, like you, Renji, I've been trying to build a bit of Terriermon recently, and it's kind of just lacking something, I feel like. And a guy online was like, I've sussed it, Ukomon. And then I kind of stopped, I thought to myself, like, I think you really get punished for playing Ukomon in that, because you don't really have a good turn 1 play apart from, like, Uko, play Terrier. And I don't know if that's anywhere near as powerful as like Numamon's doing it. Goes, or Ukomon play a Numamon and then they're threatening like a Monze or a Numa X next turn. I don't think it's quite the same, and you've got double Typhoon, so you need to have like a very high ratio of rookies and stuff in it. So it's a tough nut to crack. It's not just a card you can fling in every deck like some people think though.
I just think you like, unless you're hard slamming them down, it's like you're wasting an egg, which could be like I'm a Nyaromon enjoyer, right? So I'm plus 1k all
Let's go.
turns when suspended, right? Like
It is nuts.
you're wasting that from being under your stack. And I know we've been in like the spring break green meta for the last like 2-3 weeks, but like sometimes the extra 1k is what you need, right? Someone swings in, cool, their Mega Gargoyle's going to be this, and then it's like, oh, well, he's actually 1k more because of my egg, and they're like, didn't think about that. And
I know.
waste that on an Ukomon, it's like, what's the point? Oh no, my Ukomon's 3k instead of 2 or whatever it is. Like, oh wow, like,
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't
it's
see how-
it's probably an argument for like running Gummymon if you're gonna run Ukomon base, because then you're like, oh hell yeah, I swing with the Uko, I draw 1. It's like the same thing with Sunomon and Numamon. Like one of the big draws of it is like, oh, I've got a Sunomon live, and I can just leave the Ukomon here and draw for days off it. It's crazy having loads of Sunomon on board, but I think you do get punished for running it a bit in Terriermon. I also found like at the weekend, because we did another double Typhoon on Saturday, Renji.
Yes, sir.
And it was, I found the lack of Nyaromon, because the first one I won, and Adam was there as well. I was running Nyaromon, and the fact I was lower DP than people's Blast Evo came up quite a lot. It's just like in that format particularly, obviously, because a lot of the people are running the exact same cards. The DP really matters, but it's interesting. Anyway, does anybody else have any wee locals tidbits or any wee fun Digimon tidbits before we get into the meat and potatoes that is the tier list?
Yeah, if you're going to compete in the green only double Typhoon spring break events, be prepared for some absolute sleazebag to throw Quartzmon into a deck that doesn't play it, by the way.
Guy just topped
Me?
the Quartzmon in the list, L/plus ratio or whatever.
Adam
I'm
is
sitting at
salty.
locals going hee dog deck, funny, play against Cobb, swing with Mega Gargomon, hit Quartzmon in security. Locals experience ruined. I'm playing Star Wars Unlimited now.
Have
Mate,
we?
that Quartzmon saved me. I was bricking my balls off.
Wait, so he's talking about you?
Yeah, he's talking about me, mate, because I put Quartzmon into it because I was like, oh, some asshole's gonna run Bloom Lord, and I need to quartz the shit out of them. And then Quartzmon was in it. The only time I used it all day was to like get an extra check for game, basically.
Against
and
me!
I found that. Yeah, it did work, but also there was a game where I didn't find a rookie for like 3 turns, and Adam had like a really tall stack up with Black Mega Gargomon, a couple of guys on the board, and he swung his Black Mega into Quartzmon, and I was like, Joel, we in this?
Damn, bro.
It's kind of funny.
Have
It
we
was
talked?
very
Some
funny, mate.
absolute BM right there, man.
Deserved, bro. You should have been ready for anything.
Should have been expecting it, really.
Yeah.
Should have, yep. Play
Should
for
have
your
brought
outs, mate.
my
Play
top
your
meta
outs.
Bloom Lordmon deck. That's what I should have done.
You
Should
should
the
have.
quartz would have hit
I mean,
you
you
even harder,
probably-
bro.
No, it wouldn't, mate, because you'd have been deed.
Nah,
You'd be dead, bro. I'd sush you and then swing for 3 checks and trash top 2 or whatever.
Oh, you'd have been deed before then.
Have we talked about the fact that Adam seems to think that the rapid Gargo Terrier line are not rabbits on the pod?
No.
No,
It's been a big point of contention in the Glasgow community recently, and I've been loving stirring the pot for it. Cause I don't
I'm really
feel...
glad I'm here for this one.
I know, Renji, you've been a big proprietor of the rabbit side of things, right? Just like me. We've been standing arms together.
Mm.
I mean, it's
Brothers
a
at
rabbit.
war.
It's
It's
that
not
A bit
a
of a
It's
double
dog.
typhoon, you might say.
It's a dog.
Yes, sir. A double typhoon, yes.
Yeah, double
We're
typhoon, if you
allianced together. Oh, the rabbit alliance. I mean, he's got a move called Bunny Blast, right?
Anyone who thinks Terriermon's a rabbit has failed basic English reading comprehension.
Adam.
Bunny blast ratio.
Mate,
Yeah,
you can't
exactly.
use that argument. It's the absolute worst argument that proves my point, hands down, 10 times out of 10. Because he's got one move called Bunny Blast, and he's got 3 moves that start with the name Terrier, which is
Well,
a
his name's
dog.
Terriermon.
That's just his
name's
name, yeah.
Aye,
Terriermon,
'cause
mate,
he's
yeah,
a
I
dog.
mean, if anything,
Terriermon.
it makes him more of a bunny, right? Because the only one that isn't just his name is Bunny.
No, Terriermon's a dog. Rapidmon is a rabbit. Gargamon is a dog.
Sorry,
Level
you think
5
Rapidmon's a rabbit, but
Rapidmon's a rabbit.
Terriermon's a dog?
Aye,
It's just a
with-
big terrier one.
Aye, fucking Patamon evolves into Angemon. I don't think Patamon's a fucking angelic human, do I?
I
He's
mean,
an angelic hamster.
He's a pig.
What is he?
He's
wee
not a pig. He specifically says in the first season, and I quote, "I
He's a
am
wee-
not a pig,
He's
TK."
a little guinea pig.
He's not a pig. He might be a guinea pig.
He's a little
But-
guinea pig boy with wings for ears? Question mark. I think.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're
there
the
he is.
ears. Like you can
There
see
he is.
him down in the wee bottom left there.
The only thing I'll give you, right, is I do think Mega Gargomon is
Mega
a dog,
Gargamon
right?
is also a dog.
He's a Saint Bernard, and he's called Saint Gargomon in the Digimon Japanese version.
Yes.
But Terriermon is 100% a rabbit.
Terriermon's a dog.
Okay, Joel, why does he not look like a terrier then?
Because what I mean, what do you mean?
If he's based on a dog, if he's based on a terrier dog,
Why
why
does
does he not look like a terrier?
Diarbitmon not look like a rabbit?
He does. He looks very much
absolutely
like a
does look
rabbit.
like a rabbit.
Right, I
what do you mean?
picked a bad example. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's very much a rabbit, bro.
You stink. Well, listen, I don't want us to go to war for too long here, so I think we'll just crack on with the tier list now.
Let
It's
us
probably going
know-
to take us like 4 hours anyway.
Let us know in the comments below, folks. Is Terriermon a dog or a rabbit? But just be aware, I will be deleting any comment that says rabbit.
Just be aware, Adam will not be deleting those comments. I will be screenshotting them as they go up.
He's a dog.
Screenshot the
Lotmon's a rabbit.
notifications.
Oh my god.
Aye.
Right, moving on.
Bro, we're moving on, bro. That's just brown
Oh,
Terriermon.
no.
How can it be a different animal? What the hell?
He's fucking
Right.
purple.
He's primarily brown, but that's besides the point. Right, anyway, so tier list time, guys. Quick
Please.
wee rundown about how this is going. So, I have made the tier list myself. I have made it from decks that have done something reasonable and competitive, like they've had a top 16 recently, or if they have received a good wave, maybe not a good wave, but if they have received a wave of support in EX6 or BT15. So, if the deck's not here, it's no done anything decently, it's no had any recent support printed for it, or I forgot. So, continuing on, I'll break down the wee tiers here. Guys, feel free to chime in if you've got anything to clarify in my breakdown. But we've got tier 1, right? That's the top tier. These are the decks that you need to guaranteed be prepared to fight at regionals, right? Most people are probably going to be playing one of these because they are defined to be the best of the meta. Perhaps they're slightly too strong, if anything. Tier 1.5, we've got top meta contenders. These are going to be the decks that you will see a reasonable amount. They're not the number one thing to beat, but they do have a very good chance of winning, and they are a bit above the decks below them, right? Tier 2 is just the rest of the decks that are going to be competitively viable to bring to a tournament, right? They could win against some of the Tier 1 or Tier 1.5 decks, but they've got a lower chance of winning because they're slightly underpowered. Maybe they're a wee bit too slow, maybe they've got some bad matchups, something like that. And then we've got Tier 3, decks that we don't think are very likely to win at regionals, right? They're not going to do very well into a lot of the big meta threats. You may win some games at locals, you could even come out with a locals W, but at a larger scale eventually really going to struggle. Then finally we've got the bin, just the bottom of the barrel crap that you would never take to regionals. If you take it to locals, you're probably going to have a bad time because it's that bad.
Yeah, that sounds good to me. We're ready to kick off with our first deck.
Yeah,
Oh god, I would do.
get
So
it done.
the lovely tier list has sorted this in alphabetical order.
It
So
has
since
not.
it's in alphabetical, is it not?
That goes A, D, N, D.
No. Do you know what they've done though, Bryce? I have named the decks. So the reason Diarbit's actually second tier is because I called it Angora
Oh.
in the text file. So
And then it's
Armor and
armor.
stuff,
Yeah.
yes,
Oh, okay.
yes. So, first things first, we've got Alphamon. Alphamon has only really received support in the form of Proto form recently. Very nice wee card. Basically gains you a memory, gives you some recursion, little turbo piece. Not the most incredible thing in the world, but it has received a little bit of support, and it has had a recent top 16 in the Oceania regionals. So, not the worst, but perhaps not the greatest deck right now. What do we think about Alphamon, people?
We
Wow.
do not think.
Not-
No one
nobody
thinks of
about
Alphamon.
Well, I will tell you what I think of it quickly then, right? Alphamon, the big griddy deck, we've spoke about this earlier on, right? Many decks, their win con is, I make big man and then I kill you. Now, the issues I think Alphamon faces right now is I don't think Proto form is actually enough to speed it up to where it needs to be in the meta. It's a wee bit too slow. It's a deck that's like turn 3, turn 4, wants to come out and griddy you and maintain board control. But if we're looking at some of the top decks, Leviamon, Numamon, in my opinion, I don't know how Alphamon's going to do into Numamon. Don't know if it can really stop the Numamon rush. It's not really that great at popping super wide boards. And I just think it's not really fast enough to keep up with Numamon. Might give Levy a run for its money, but then that deck runs a bunch of bombs. I think it's a tier 2 deck for me personally right now.
Right. I mean, I can
Any
kind of
discussion
agree.
on it?
The deck seem like I've not got the greatest meta insight. I've not looked into this game too much, being still focused mostly on One Piece with set 6 releasing and the Wolverhampton coming up. But the deck's got nothing, and it's not exact. It's never been garbage. It's never been like, oh, this is not worth running or not worth trying with. And people tend to just pop up in a random wee top with an Alphamon once in a while. So tier 2 feels right. Like, you can definitely pull off a competitive, like, decent placement with this. It will just be a tough fought fight the whole way up.
Absolutely. Agree.
I think it's one of those kind of decks where it's not probably something that a lot of people are thinking of playing into. So when they're sitting getting prepped for regionals, nationals, whatever it is they're playing in, they're sitting thinking, what am I going to play test against? And they're running it through. When they sit down and they flip over, their opponent flips over their Doraemon egg or whatever, and they're like, oh, wait a minute, like,
Yep.
I don't entirely remember how to play into this or what some little effects are. And there's a lot of stuff, I suppose, if you go down the dex route as well. There's just like a couple of extra things in the pocket that people can have that you might just not be prepared with. So like if there's a good pilot playing it, man, like I reckon it. Like, well, I mean, it has produced results, right, and it's topped in some regions. So yeah, I think tier 2 is pretty good. Like,
Yep. Adam, you got anything else to add on this, or?
No, I mean, it is one of those decks that is just kind of stuck around. People don't play it anymore because it's not... Everyone knows what it does, and it's not, like, the new best thing, but it's still a strong deck when it gets to do what it wants to do. I'd say its only sort of negatives, really, are... Like, people are running a bit more bombs again, for a variety of decks, and Alphamon does die to bombs unless it's got the protection from the one-off Doru Grey underneath it.
Aye, the only thing it is immune to, like, consistently is DP reduction.
Yeah.
Which does help it against Numamon, but like I say, I just don't know what there is that's going to stop it from deleting a wide board, right? Like, Numamon, you can easily have like 4 things on the board, and an Alphamon stack's only going to pop 2 of them. Like Dex Durogrey, and then Oryukin, and then you get Heaven's Judgment or something like that. You're crying your eyes out. So, or like even Seventh Lightning. That's one big thing about Leviamon. Like Leviamon runs like anywhere between like 3 and 7 bombs, that are just going to yeetus you. And I don't know if you can just leave out the BT13 guy. It is one good thing though. The Floodgate from the BT13 Alphamon does probably really hurt Leviamon, but it's I think it's fair for tier 2. It can hold up, but there's better things to play. It's just got its own wee niche. It's just not the greatest.
Speaking of better things to play, I doubt we're going on to that. So, what the fuck is Diarbitmon?
Diarbitmon, that's the Angoramon line, brother.
Aye, but what does it do?
Nothing.
So I have built this deck before, not built it since the new wave hit, right? And it's going to be one of these decks we're not that familiar with, probably. I don't think any. Basically, it makes a guy, right, and it suspends opponent's Digimon and then swings into them at the end of turn. And it gets memory back and stuff if they've got suspended Digimon. Now, I do think the ace is pretty good. It suspends a guy, and then if they've not got no guys that aren't sussed, then you gain memory, so you can still turn with it. But it's kind of just a guy who plays other guys. I don't think it's that powerful. I don't think any of the new support really speeds it up either. The big payoff before was like, yippee, I've made a man, and he's like swinging for like 1 or 2 checks and maybe swings over something at like a middling amount of DP. I just don't think it's got anything that's particularly powerful enough to make it that competitive right now.
I think the only thing it really has going for it, and I was gonna build it just like as a bit of a meme thing for like all the Green Cup stuff. It has like the old boss monster lets you like swing into something at the end of your turn that has Angoramon in its text, right? And I can't remember if it's the 5 or the 4. One of them has the inheritable that like once you delete an opponent's Digimon in battle, you can like trash security cards. It's like kind of protected against bombs. Like you can make it like a bit more control. And I suppose like that's cool. It's maybe good in like a meta where you've got a lot of decks that want to go wide and you can just be popping stuff. And I suppose if you've got cards like Green Pomemon from BT10 that stops people being able to play things by effects, then like it might actually have a good time against something like DigiPolice or Numemon or something like that, where you're able to kind of keep control of a board, and as a byproduct of doing that, you get to trash security cards, which you're not really going to have a bad time with unless it's Vaccine. But that's about it. I don't think there's anything terribly flashy, but it's fun.
I think it's quite a middle of the road deck, man, and it's just it's another deck. I say this a lot about decks in every card game, but the best decks do something unfair, right? Like even if we just look at Alphamon, what we've already assessed, what does it do? Makes a big giant man, stops you attacking with big guys, and then domes you for like 5 checks in a turn, maybe kills you in 1 turn. Gains a bunch of memory once it makes its big stack. That's unfair. Like Diarbert's unfair thing is, right, well, I swing over like a guy or 2 and I like trash one from your security. I'm like, okay, well, what's the payoff here, brother?
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm feeling a tier 3 on this one. If anybody feels like saying anything else, unless we want to be, how harsh are we going with this? Because I would say this is potentially bin worthy or tier 3.
It's absolutely bin worthy, mate. Let's not beat around the bush. Nobody plays this. It's in the toilet.
I'm building it.
I want it to be tier. Renji, you're building everything, brother. You're the chameleon.
I'm gonna build it. There is a guy in locals that has a small amount of these Darbitmon cards for me that I forgot to trade last week.
Mate, if this isn't getting the bin, then we might as well remove the tier.
I think you might be right, Adam.
I was gonna say this feels bin worthy, mate. Even just look at the card. That card says bin.
I agree, mate. Okay, we'll be harsh, right? We'll just stick it in the bin. Even though you might be able to take this to your locals and do alright. This is low power level, so let's just stick it in there.
I don't even think it's going to do good at locals, mate, because like what you were describing to me sounds like shit Rust Tyranno.
It's like, I'm not even going to lie, it's probably better than Tyrannomon now, but there's certain cards in it you're like, okay, this is mid. And it's got another one of these things where all this stuff is like, has to have Angoramon in its text, so you can't really differentiate too far from the traditional deck it wants you to build. So I get in the bin by Arbitmon. And next we've got Armours. So Renji, do you want to talk a wee bit about Armours, mate? Because you've been playing it a little bit yourself, considering taking it to regionals potentially.
Yeah, actually considering taking it to regionals. So I kind of slept on Armour originally because like Vmon's like one of my boys, top 5 Digimon I think, and when BT8 came out I was losing my mind, right? Obviously, like a lot of us were. It was either Imperial or Armour, and I ended up just like falling into the Imperial route. So when it started getting this like newer support announced for BT16, and obviously we get this card in the starter deck, I was just like, cool, like I'm gonna build something like in prep for BT16, but I'm probably not gonna go to locals with it or anything. I might just have some fun. And then I built it and just like ran a few test games and was like, actually, like a couple of tweaks, this might be quite good. And also suffered the Ukomon Louis situation that probably a lot of people in the UK did, where we just didn't get demo decks. So once I got my hands on them, I was like, I feel like I have to, right? New Vmon, new Davis, like the promo ones that come in the decks, like go pretty hard with armor. I tried putting them in Imperial, like last set when I just brought Imperial out for a bit of fun, but definitely go harder in armor, 100%. The addition of the Louis and the Uko are pretty good, especially like if you've got something sitting in the back and it's just stinky. If you've got usually like a Vmon in the back, you've blocked with your guys on field, and whether they've died or whatever's happened, they're maybe just suspended, and you know they do 2 checks, 3 checks, and you hit a Louis and you get to pull the Vmon up in the absolute copium that you're going to hit this Magnum on next or whatever, right? It's like, it's just, but it's cool setup. It's like this whole new thing that everyone needs to be wary of. Like as soon as you've got a level 6 ace that can evo on a level 4 Rapidmon, you're like, maybe this isn't a free swing. And then there's a little Vmon sitting there and there's 4 checks left, and you're like, maybe I don't want to be Digivolved 1. Like maybe I don't want to lose all my sources or whatever. So like it's cool right now. I think it obviously shoots to like tier 1 once May 29th or whatever drops, right? But or maybe 2 weeks after that for the UK, we'll see. But like I think for right now it's probably like tier 2. I still think it still needs cooked up a bit. I don't think it's as simple as just like, you know, 11 Magnamons, 4 Magna X and just see what happens. Like I've been messing, not to give away the sauce, but I've been messing around with like Shadow Seraphimon in it. I've put like the Magna Ace and Zudo Ace in there for a bit of spice. I say bit of spice,
See,
like it just doesn't
true.
go in any blue or yellow list. But
Yeah.
like tamer wise, I'm thinking of changing it up a little bit. Uko's fun. But I'm just questioning whether like it's just better to just run hard Vmon for just like more surge. Like I just got to the point where I'd like have 2 Ukos on field, a bunch of armors in my hand, like, and I'm just like I'm just losing until I draw my 1 card at the start of a turn. So I just wonder how much better like search for a 2 cost blue card Vmon is better in those kind of scenarios until like new stuff comes out. But
Yeah.
yeah, it seems like a lot of fun. Like it's still like Magna X is still oppressive, man. You're sitting there like. They're like, so what happens? This guy just redirects all of his attacks, and then once it dies, it goes to the top of stack, and then your Magnamon underneath lives. And I'm like, yeah, and then I could probably blast Evo on it, yeah. Like, do you know what I mean?
This is
like,
the thing, man. Like, so I think a lot of decks this format have to say, right, well, can I beat Numemon? Right? Do I have a good shot into Numemon?
Yep.
And Magna is just a crazy answer to that. Like, I think as someone who's played the deck myself a lot, I think it's hard for it to delete large bodies, and it doesn't really get much larger than a Magnamon X that's evolved over BT8 Magnamon, right? Like that motherfucker, like 20k or something, easily. So it's quite annoying for them to deal with. Maybe they have to use a bomb on it, and then you can answer back. Like I think as well, Renji, one thing I would say to you is Ukomon is definitely the way in this deck. Like it has so many good turn 1 plays with Ukomon, it's crazy. I think this is maybe one of the best abusers of Ukomon outside of Numemon, Monzamon, right? Like, you go, imagine the tempo you get from going turn 1 Ukomon, and then we play Davis and we play a Vmon. You're like, holy bro, I'm gaining like 2 extra memory next turn, and then like every turn I'm gaining a memory and I'm hatching another egg. Turn 2 I'm gonna have 3 bodies on the board. That's nuts, man.
yeah, sure, it's kind of big.
It's huge, and I think I underestimated how good this Magnamon is as well. Like, everybody keeps talking about the security effect, but just the fact that it's like also just strips sources on the way up, it like really threatens that Zudomon. Anything that's double coloured is going to have like 2 and then 2 sources stripped from it. It's going to bounce like almost anything at that point. Like, it bounces most 6s. Kind of nuts, man. Kind of nuts. I think it's like high 2 or maybe 1.5 for me. Heaven's Judgment as well goes freaking crazy, by the way. Let's just yeet the whole freaking board.
What a card.
With our freaking, I mean, how many colours does this deck have? Like black, blue, white, yellow.
4?
Nuts, man. Nuts.
See,
So that's what, 30k? It's kind of big.
I don't know, man. I think this is currently tier 3 until it gets the next
What?
wave of support. I don't deny it's a strong deck, and the new Magnamon definitely gives it a bit of oomph in its power. But when it's trying to beat things like Leviamon, which nukes it 3 times in with one effect, and other like tier 1 decks that we'll get to, I don't think it can hold up against them.
So, I don't know how good the matchup into Levia would actually be, right? I do think the fact it can beat Numemon quite well is, and it's also like very fast now, right? Like, I personally underestimated the deck myself because I was like, we're just in BT16 waiting room for this one, boys. But I think between the Davis and the new Vmon and Ukomon and the new Magnamon, like, it is really deceptively powerful. And it's like it is very fast as well, which is just putting pressure on. And even Armor Purge is like pretty decent into Leviamon, right? Because they go, okay, pop your biggest and your lowest, and you've got like 2 Digimon on the board, you've got like 2 4s or something. It's like, okay, pop this one, Armor Purge. Okay, pop the Vmon, and you're like, okay, you didn't get that much value out of this one. Doesn't play guys by effects apart from the BT13 Magna and stuff like that as well. So I think it's got good things. I would definitely say that it's not tier 3. I would say it's at least 2.
So, the way I see it is, one, the deck is basically just Magna.deck now. I don't think calling it Armor's fair on the poor Flame Dramon. Is it Flame Dramon? Yeah. The poor Flame Dramon and Rhydramon that have just been left in the dust. But
No.
that everything about just this card that's just come out, it just screams this deck is now in tier 2 to me. Like, between that, the fact that the aces are pretty good on it because you can just swap between using the Magna and Ace or more realistically the Pseudo Ace. It's just, and then go from Pseudo Ace into your Magna X if you're having a weird game. I don't know, the deck just seems too strong to me to be considered tier 3. I think if you go with this, you've tested it well, you can have a chance at regionals. Part of me thinks it might be easier than with Alphamon because you've still got a bit of the element of surprise. Not everyone knows what this does fully yet.
Yeah,
The thing as well that make it
tier
better.
2 then.
Yeah.
The other thing I was going to say might make it better than Alphamon is it is, like I say, it is putting pressure on from like minute 1 from the game. It's like saying answer me, or you're going to lose. And it also has like good control elements to it as well. I think it's quite a well-rounded deck basically. Also, one did just top in OS as well.
Oh,
So
there
is potential.
I was
Respect
checking the Eld Eggman events and I didn't see it in the top. Oh no, it's because they've cropped it, so you've just got the tiniest bit of Magnamon's face in it, but there is a top for it. So I feel like if it's topped recently, that kind of just gives it a seat in gives it a seat in tier 2 automatically.
Oh, for sure. I mean, the other thing is, I've said I was sleeping on this deck a bit. One of the things that did change me around on it was I listened to the Huang Zero. Last week they put out a tier list of their own, and the guys bloody put it at top of 2. I don't think they had 1-5 on theirs, but they put it 1 spot behind Levia and Numemon, and I was like, what the hell, man? Is it good? And I played against it, and I'm thinking about it. I'm like, yeah, I can see it. I can really see it. So I think 2 is fair. We're going to need to wait a wee bit. The meta's actually still quite new. It's not really solved yet because we've had to work this meta out ourselves.
I can see it making it to 1.5, but for now, I think play it on the safe side. Realistically, it'll sit in tier 2 for now, but it could just be one of those decks that takes us by surprise.
So we safe bets. We'll go 2 on that one.
Yeah. Moving on to Beelzemon, the old classics who die hard. We all know what it does,
a
right?
deck comes out. What's that? Yeah, I mean, everyone knows it topples the bin.
Beelzemon's quite a fun deck, to be fair. I was playing it for a while and then about other stuff thanks to the ADHDs, and then I've not went back to it.
Let's go.
Let's go. But it is a fun deck. You know, you go up stack, you mill yourself to fucking oblivion, and then win the game. I think it struggles a little bit more at the moment because it's now got shit like Omni Turbo putting shit to the bottom of the deck to deal with. It's got fucking Indomitable Leomon to deal with because it can't nuke it too easily, so it can't get around it. It's got a wee bit more to struggle against, and obviously it's a single stack deck, so it loses to anything that's in security bomb wise. To be fair,
His protection, to be fair, a wee bit.
it's got a bit of protection, but it's not like the best. To be fair, it's
Also
like,
trash his security, so it doesn't lose to
it's
bombs
like an
that hard.
off-brand condom.
Whoa,
What?
that is not
What?
what it is.
It's protection.
I'm just letting that one sink in before screaming "what" at the top of my lungs.
Keep it in, keep it in.
It's usable, but it's no Durex. You know what I'm saying?
Aye,
Oh, for
it's more like a
fuck's
Trojan
sakes,
or
man.
something like that, maybe. But it's like,
Which-
yeah, I think
but-
it's, I think it is a good deck, man. It's just the issue with it now is like it's not had any support keeping it up to speed. The Demon Lord stuff that's coming out for it is like one Beelzemon that you may or may not even run, and it is like, it's crazy to think about. But when a deck comes out and it's like the big meta threat, it does tend to have some staying power. And I think you could take this to a tournament and probably pull top 16, but I think you are handicapping yourself by doing that. If you don't get good rolls off of the cards you trash, you are just slower than you need to be. Does have one boon in it, that is that the deck unironically runs like 7 or 8 bombs off the stack. So that does help you into a lot of the gritty decks, helps you into Levia. So that is one wee good thing about it, and it does trash, 2 or 3 security off Beelzemon X, which will always be powerful. It's just, I think it is a little bit too slow now. Its form of protection is playing a guy by effect, so it's basically got 0 protection against Levia because it wants you to play a guy by effect, and then it goes crazy. So yeah, I think it's like a kind of middle low tier 2.
I'm definitely thinking
Perhaps
tier
behind
2.
Alphamon.
It did top not too long before the Rapidmon stuff came out. Only one, and it was I think a smaller online tourney, but someone's still making it work out there. So I'm thinking tier 2. We don't need to linger on the deck too long. Everybody knows it. You either love it or hate it. I feel like nobody's like indifferent to that deck for some reason.
In the interest of Raw Dog in the list, just to follow on from Adam's incredible patter, I actually think it has like a little bit of spice with throwing some Levia X in there, because you've got the X antibodies, maybe one or two copies kicking about in there. You're trashing stuff anyway. It is a great Demon Lord, so if you wanted to bite and crush, or you wanted to 7th Lightning ? Can't remember what it's called. If you can free up a 5-6 card pool, then you could maybe play around with putting like some Levia X and some of those option cards in there to just have like a little bit of a bite back, pun intended. And I think it could just be a bit of nonsense, really, to kind of answer it, being a Demon Lord himself,
If you do put Leviamon deck cards into it, then it could be good.
I think it's probably better than Alphamon, right?
I think it's very close to Alphamon. Like it's
it's not massively different, but I still think Alphamon's gonna. Looking at this, I'm just slowly thinking Alphamon's probably going to be on the lower end of our tier 2. So
yeah, I think so.
I think Magna's probably the high end of our tier 2.
Quick wee thing might be worth doing, right? One, there are 2 decks here I would suggest we shortcut to immediately.
For the bin or for the top?
Oh, for the top.
No, for the top, because they completely warp the way we talk about the rest of the decks, right?
Right, we
Let
want
me
to
just drag them
slap
up right
Numemon
now.
and Leviamon right into tail run then. I still think Numemon's pish, but I'm on the hard copium because it's a good deck.
Numemon is one of the fastest decks that's ever been printed in the game, right? It does have counterplay. People think there's no counterplay for it. I'm looking at you, John Stone. But basically, it's the amount of memory this deck can cheat out is crazy. It can dome you so fast. It really hard punishes any deck like Alphamon that wants to raise on turn 3 and then start playing the game. It really does force you to play onto the board, and if you play onto the board at the wrong time, you might get Monzamon X'd and then deleted, and then you probably just lose the game off that. So it's also got a very tweakable list. Watched a wee video from Digipanda today, and he was talking about how out of all the tops Numemon has had, only 50% of the deck is actually the same every time. The other 50% does change, including the rookie lineup, if it runs option cards, what level 6s it runs, if it runs level 7s. There's a lot of different builds you can run for it, so it's kind of hard to prep for. Also runs a lot of floodgates inherently because a lot of the black rookies are ass. So it's just sitting there like, I've always got a Chumon to play. I've sometimes got a Chakurimon depending on the list, which can screw with other decks. And it's just stupidly fast. Even like some of the stuff it does where it's like, okay, see if you've got a stack that's got Numemon X and Platinum Numemon as the top end. It's like, okay, you delete that, play Monzamon, gain 2, play another Platinum Numemon, or play the same Platinum Numemon, even trash 1, gain 2. It's like, well, it's my turn now. So it has a lot of crazy tricks as well as just being ridiculously fast. The only way to really shut it down is by having good early blocks, being able to pop wide boards, stopping them being played by effects. Also, if this deck gets turn 2, gets second, and you kill the Numemon, their best opener they can do, right, is really play Numemon, Ukamon and Raisin, right? If you can, on your second turn of the game, after their first turn, kill that Numemon, I think you just win the game. Like, honestly, you're sitting there thinking, what the hell do I do as Numemon now? And a lot of lists don't run much in the way of like tamers to accelerate memory. A lot of them are on like 2 Satsuki and stuff, so there is good counterplay. Anyway, that's just my 2 cents as someone who's played the shit out of this all the way up to when Terriermon dropped.
You'll need to give me some games with it because I've only played against it for other people and I just dome them every single time. But it's probably just because I'm playing Shine Grey, which just nukes things off the board.
Shine Grey is ridiculously good into it, I think, because one reason why I'm tempted not to play it at regionals is because you play onto the board, and if you don't see certain cards, you just insta lose. Like, if you don't see Numemon X on like the turn they're pulling out their Shine Grey stack, you just lose. They just clear the board, and you're like, well, I can never come back from this financially. So
financially,
it's also got super.
I will never
like they've got
recover.
super low DP, so I just go ruin mode, and then they're like, all right, well, okay.
You don't even need to ruin mode, mate. You just
No, I
suspend
know, I know.
one Marcus,
Right,
and your
exactly.
inheriteds clear the board.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just absolutely, honestly, Shine, every time I've played against Shine, I've been like, please brick or I lose. Or I'm like, don't get the Marcus that pops a 3k off the board that I lose, and then they see it, and then I get gridded and I go, well, I've just lost and there's no counterplay to this. So it is beatable, but it is very fast, and the meta is warping around it. There is a lot of hate for wee guys and guys that get played by effects in the meta now because of this deck. So yeah, easy tier 1, boys.
Speaking of easy tier 1, we'll move on to our other contender, Leviamon. Do we even need to explain this? Can we just say it and move on? Like,
the top,
Big fish.
the 16 best players on the planet Earth playing Digimon were like, right, we have got a new format here and we're all fighting each other to see who's the best. And almost all of them are like 50% of them are like, let's just play Leviamon, man. So I think that just speaks volumes that they all picked it. It's had a crazy amount of tops since the new meta has arisen, and it's just nuts. Like, I don't understand. Well, I do understand how it didn't do much in Japan because the other decks that were hit were just crazier. But the amount of memory this shit just generates and how much deletion it has, how aggressive it is once it gets the stack going, and the option cards in this deck are just insane.
yep.
Yeah.
I think that's all we need to say on it.
I genuinely cannot build the deck because I don't have all the pieces, and it's so expensive to get everything that I just can't be bothered.
The one time Mr. A case of fucking each set doesn't have all the cards.
I've got all the fish, I just don't have all the fish X, so I'm like,
Fish X is actually easy to get for some reason. Well, obviously now because it's tier 1, right? But it's been like this for a while. Normal Leviamon is like been quite expensive for a while, and it makes me think, who the hell was actually out here predicting this to be number 1 in the meta?
Everyone.
I don't know.
Levia's been.
Why are we
was
calling
always
him
gonna be
fish?
I heard nothing. I heard nothing about it, mate. I actually heard nothing about this deck.
I've been wanting to
after.
build this since it got revealed, and then I just didn't for some reason.
Didn't want to build it that bad then, eh?
I'm weird with building decks. I'll just be like Shine Greymon, or then I'll just build something that my pal sends me, and then it's weird.
Yep, absolutely. So, can I just say, why does this guy evolve into Levia X for 0?
He's a free ace,
Yeah.
mate.
It's
It's
so
criminal.
stupid, man. Like, I've
From
been
the trash.
testing this. Yeah, from the trash for zero if you play a Digimon by effect, and you're sitting there thinking, oh, this deck punishes me for playing guys by effect. Half of the fives just force you to play a guy by effect, and he just evolves into it for zero anyway. I'm like, well, what the? And then he's like, oh, and also because you played a guy, I am also going to delete a level 4 and a level 6 from your board. And you're like, right, well, I didn't want this,
It's
mate.
also it's not specifically a Leviamon deck, but I am a really big fan of the Waru Seedramon Infinite Memory glitch deck.
Yes,
Because
that's funny.
it's really cool. Basically, Waru Seedramon gains you a memory when you delete a Digimon in battle, and it's not a once per turn. So you couple it with Dimension Scissor, force them to play a guy out, kill it, force them to play a guy out, kill it, and you infinitely loop them. And because infinite loops in the game are just, I declare how many times I'm going to do this. As long as you've got something to play out, your opponent's got something to play out, that's not going to fuck you over. You gain infinite memory, do whatever you want. Gain infinite memory, do whatever you want. It's funny.
It's
Crazy.
so stinky. I love it.
It's
Sounds
very funny.
absolutely
I want
minging.
somebody to take
I
it
used to do
to
that with
locals.
Rust Tyrannomon back in the day. We Dimension Scissor. That was spicy.
Cheeky wee Dimension Scissor
It
tech,
was,
man. We
man,
love to see it.
Right. What have we got next? We've got Belphamon Rage Mode.
Oh, I mean,
This is a big
how
sad.
bad did the hits? How bad
So-
did the hits fuck it? That's the real answer.
Yeah, so Scatter Mode
So-
has been shoved into the sea. Kind of hurt it a lot.
He has ripped.
And
Bozo.
then I mean, it was never going to play the Gabumon stuff anyway, but because people
Yeah, it
who
could've.
play Purple were
Well,
like
I tell
pee
you what,
poo
mate.
poo, they were going to play it, and so it's hurt it, yeah.
even after the nerfs, it is playing the Gabumon stuff.
Yeah. It has to.
Because
it just needs to
the
draw ditch
Garuru
stuff.
level 4 is like the new non-Raremon best level 4 in purple, I would
Also,
say.
Raremons are 70 quid. What the fuck?
Aye, that's a good one. I see when I'm looking at the tournaments recently, people are like running Raremon, and I swear it's just, this is as many Raremon as I had. I'm running them in the lists. Like, I've got one that Renji actually fucking traded for me a while ago, but it's yeah, so it's like if I was to build a list, I'd have one Raremon, obviously, because I'm not forking out the 60 Spundolis for it.
Yeah.
Raremon would have went hard in this deck. I mean, it's currently like messing around with lots of different stuff. Friend of the pod UXO loves a bit of Belphamon. He's trying to make it work. And if anybody can do it, he can. But I've played against it a couple of times, and I think this thing gets absolutely destroyed by Numamon. Like, the guy, I mean, the whole game, the guy's like trying to build his rage mode stack, right? And he gets it on like turn 3 or turn 4. And the whole time I'm just like giggling to myself in my head, because I know that the turn that he makes the rage mode stack, I'm just going to make a stack that when it dies passes the turn back to me. So I did that, and then the turn passed back to me, and I went, right, swing for game, and he lost. So I don't see it doing that much. It's like a decent enough deck. To be honest, I don't really know enough about it to fairly rate it. It's either a tier 2 or a tier 3 thing, I would say, probably tier 2 on the safe side.
The purple hits really hurt it to the point where it struggles competitively at the moment. Unless UXO cracks it, and if anyone can do it, I believe in him, it's probably tier 3.
Any thoughts, Renji?
I enjoyed it when it came out, and I thought that like the kind of Gizmon package was like enjoyable. I know that like what kind of Cobb was saying with people using the. I've seen some people like cooking up with like the starter deck Gabus and Garurumons, just for something extra, and then using those little like one-offs on the X antibodies for stacks. But again, like I don't think it has the same momentum as it probably would have before those cards were restricted. Had they not been restricted, it probably would have been a bit more of a menace, I think,
Definitely.
in the meta, which was possibly what they were trying to stop. I think the meta is a bit more colourful than it was in Japan, right, where your top 32 is purple. But like,
Yeah.
I think it's better for the game overall. But I think it's a shame for like a deck like this that lost all of its momentum because of, like you said, Eismon, like Gabu and Garu X and stuff. I think it's like a bit of a shame that there's not like a good replacement for it yet. So it's probably like a tier 3. You may find someone, again, my argument with like Alphamon, right, where people are like, oh, how they are playing into this again, or there's just some card in there that someone's thrown in that's just like absolute anti-meta nonsense, right? I think some people were talking about I forget the purple card that came out in the LM set. It was like the level 5. And when you play it, it's like, I think you discard something. No, hold on, I'm going to look this up real quick because it's going to annoy me if I can't remember what it is. Is it Gukimon? Yeah, the one that's like... Yeah, so you like hard play it, delete something, then you play your token, and it's like, it's a 7 play cost, which like feels big, but then you've just got like 2 level 5s sitting on the field waiting. Like,
yep.
Seen some people playing with stuff like that, and it's, again, like it's not... It's hardly meta defining, but it's just it's a little thing that they can throw in that someone's now just like, oh wait, how am I supposed to deal with this? or
I know,
or whatever. And I mean, it's also not impossible for purple to get 7 memory in a turn. So like,
no,
you could always evo on it, but
stuff. Like, I mean, what rage mode or sleep mode probably does do well in Leviamon, right? You're like, well, out this you piece because I'm out in your Leviamon next turn, but also, I mean. The Gizemon package and stuff is all playing Digimon by FX, so I feel like they've got as much to bite you with as you've got to bite them.
Yeah.
But
Tier 3 feels a bit harsh, especially for something that, like, in its time was Tier 1. But
we need a Tier 2.5, mate.
Nah, we don't need a Tier 2.5. You stop with your 0.5 bullshittery. But I feel like just the game has just moved up, and with the hits, it's just too slow now.
It makes me laugh that we're looking at like Beelzemon and Alphamon, which were like
older than this
decks. They're like
but
BT13
they weren't hit.
decks, and then no, I know it's just funny though because it's like these 2 normal BT13 decks, and then Beelzemon's sitting down there sad. Like, oh, I was higher than you at one point. Now look at me.
How far the mighty have fallen. And speaking of fallen mighties, onto Black Wargrey, and I'm gonna pull over Wargrey at the same time because they're basically the same deck. But
no,
just the slight, mate. No, they're close enough to each other that we're doing them at the same time.
No, yeah, okay, but they're not the same deck. They're on completely different cards apart from.
But
Agumon
bro, we have Black War Greymon and Black Red War Greymon.
Aye, but they're different cards. They get different effects. One is control and one is aggro. That's the difference.
Yeah, but still, we're doing them at the same time. So what are our thoughts on them?
So the fun thing about this one is that this time last year, like maybe about a month ago, we done the 2023 Championship Finals tier list for episode 7 of this podcast. And at the top of the list, the deck to beat was Black Wargrey because of its absolute dominating presence. Remember Finals? The deck to beat was Black Wargrey.
You mean the one at the start of last year, right? I know, this is true.
And like now we're going to talk about it, and I will bet that we're going to place it in tier 2 or tier 3 at the moment. Probably tier 2.
I feel like tier 3 is. I feel like tier 2 or
tier 3 is probably
way
unfair,
too harsh.
But it's probably
that's
set in
way
tier
too
2.
Harsh.
But it just goes to show how much the meta shifts and changes, because we'll have a discussion about this. But it is nowhere near the beast that it used to be that everyone was absolutely feared of.
Yeah, nothing really changed as well. It got its Grey X hit, but other than that, nothing's changed for this deck, and that's its problem, really.
The thing is, though, was Grey X not hit for finals, though?
Yeah.
No, it got hit after finals because Grey X, like, literally, it's funny how printing one card can just break an archetype. Like, I mean, I say that, it's funny how a card that gains you 2 memory for free is like archetype defining, right? But that was literally what it was. In BT11, it was because it had Grey X and it could actually just punt out black walls like a factory without any effort. That was the real issue of the deck at the time, so that was why it was so good. And since that, it's been to 1. Greymon is kind of just lacking a bit of speed, and if you were to make a choice between the two, I think you'd be hard pushed to say you want to play Black War over Wargrey, honestly. It's just a slower version of Wargrey, and it trades the aggression for haha, I popped your tamer, haha, de-digivolve one or swing over one guy. You know, it's not all of that anymore. Better things to be doing.
Don't think we need to talk too much on these, to be honest. Like, the most relevant thing that either of these decks have gotten was the BT14 Wargrey secret.
And the Agumon.
I need you to stop
and the Agumon.
Black War and Wargrey together, because they're 2 separate decks. Black War doesn't run the Wargrey secret.
My point is, neither of these decks have enough recently to just bring them up. People complained that Wargrey and Garurug were getting everything. They finally stopped, and you know what? Kinda happy about it.
It's been 2 sets since Agumon said support, bro. It's not that
The-
crazy.
It's not broken
When we get
support.
2 sets
It's
off,
not
the
broken.
world
See, the
stops
thing
moving.
is, though, is that when we're talking, when obviously take if you're listening to this, take what we say with a pinch of salt and play what you think is good, unless it's D-links. But the
Whoa.
thing with Black War is that it is still just as strong as it used to be. It's not been hit in a way that makes it any less strong. It's just that other decks have come up to the same sort of level that it is. So we could easily sit here and talk about how it's a tier 1 deck, and we could probably make some very strong arguments for it. You could also make arguments for all the way down to the bin, I guess, if you wanted to. So it's just kind of weird, because if I took this to regionals, or if a better player than me took it to regionals, they would probably win with it if they tried hard enough and put all the right training and stuff in. But it's not what's currently played, because there's new, more fun decks out and stuff like that. So obviously it takes a wee bit more of a backseat.
I
think you
you're
nailed it
talking
with saying
about Cope
fun.
there.
I don't disagree actually. Like I think you hit the nail on the head with saying that like there's more fun decks, and I think that's always a thing that like meta in any type of game, not even necessarily card games, is always going to suffer from. Like something can still be like technically still as strong and still as much of a pain as something like Black War Greymon is, especially with how important tamers are for like a lot of decks and like current in the current format. But there are just things that probably do the control aspect that Black War Greymon did maybe not even necessarily better, but just more fun, or just using newer cards, so like it just feels more fresh. Do you know what I mean? Like people don't necessarily want to go back to something that was really good between like what BT 8 through 11 ish, before the X hit, and want to keep just running the same thing over and over. Like how many people are still enjoying cross art? Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
God, cross art, yuck.
I didn't even put it on. I was debating whether I should
It's
put it
still
on. But I was like, it's
I
not
would
done
put it on,
anything
it's
for
still
ages,
relevant.
man.
Mate, you put it
Nah,
on, I
it's
was making a
irrelevant,
tier
bro.
list called Cross Sharp, bro.
Yeah. So what we saying with Black War Grey? Then we stick it.
You know,
It's a tier 3, tier 2 for me.
I'm thinking, honestly, I think Belfa, even with the hits, can still beat it. That's it. That's like, because
I
I
think it's comparative power level. Honestly, it's like what is the main benefit of playing this? So it gets absolutely trounced by Leviathan, because Leviathan can pop it multiple times in one turn and just delete the stack. And Numamon, the thing is, it can pop bodies. Like the Black War could pop 2 things off the board and make a blocker that can be DP reduced. That maybe. Mate, I'm selling it to myself here actually. Pops 2 bodies and then makes a blocker that can also redirect once per turn and can be DP reduced. Maybe that's interesting. But I don't know if it's right. No, it's tier 2. It can't be tier 3.
Nah,
I've just sold it to myself.
I was gonna say, you're
I'd either
selling
put it
yourself
at
a fucking
1.5 or 2.
joint here, mate. No, not 1.5.
Defo's
You're
not
on
1.5.
fucking Cope. If you don't bro, the Magna deck fucking rails this. That's like
Aye.
It does not.
it definitely
Because
does.
Black
You've
War
not played
just goes
against armor
block,
to know what
and
it does.
then Magna goes sad.
Well,
Black War
I think-
goes block your 19k swing and dies. Like,
Yes, true. Also, Black War goes like that. Armor goes like that. Oh, you're 2 coloured. Strip 2. Zuddy strip 2. Strip 4.
then bounce and
And then
Yeah.
bounce because you've not got protection anymore.
it's far too easy to like out it with that.
Black War sitting there like that. Swing for 1 and then reboot to trash 1 from yours. And then you're like, okay, rip Bozo, you've spent 3 turns making this stack bounce.
Bye.
Goes swing for 1, hits Magna, Digivolve, fuck off, bro.
Bro, if it's got no sources, it can't be evolve the big brain.
Shit, bro, he's right.
But yeah, I think that's fair. I think Alpha's better than it. Get Alpha higher.
No.
Yeah, look,
No.
honestly, I'm of the opinion that genuinely Belfamon stands up to this deck and kicks it in the teeth, because it's just it's not fast enough to
Neither's
beat Belfamon before Belfamon
I think
gets
Belfamon
going.
should be
mate.
tier 2.
Belfamon takes
I think
6
Belfamon
hours
should
to
be
set
bottom of
up.
tier 2.
I watched
I'm gonna
Belfamon set up in 3 turns this
Mate,
weekend, mate. You're on
Belfamon
coke.
takes forever to set up because it's lost all of its draw discard power.
What's
Nah,
getting you
bro.
draw discard power though? It goes
The
like that
Gizemon stuff
turbo
is still
out
draw
Demi
discard.
Meramon with Ukomon. It goes turbo Demi Mera turbo with Ukomon, and then if it plays as many rare mons as it has access to.
Stop
I got 2
fucking
points to
winding them
make
up,
here.
bro, please.
My,
Right,
my,
let's hear
my-
Renji.
Yeah,
On
my,
you go.
my first thing is I'm going to flex my guest opinion, and that I think that Black War is probably tier 3 because I think
Thank
a lot
you.
of the things that make it tier 2 that we're talking about is if someone plays it well and they get their cards right. And I think that like
Well, aye.
deck building can only take you as far, right? There's a lot of these things that like I still think in a matchup, like if you look at Magna and you look at Beelzemon, it's like even if you get like a relatively mince hand that you need to play out of and someone's still just maybe not too sure of the deck, they can still probably perform quite well with it. But I think if you got kind of shafted with like your draws and you've not really done a lot of in and outs with the deck, I just think that Black War is probably just not holding up in the meta. Like I still think it's a good deck, but I just think it's like it's probably high tier 3. I think it probably sits better than Belfamon, but
No, if that's
still-
the case, Alphamon's getting put into the bin tier because it's not better than Alphamon.
My guy,
better
I
than
think you're
Alphamon.
just on some coke, bro.
No, it isn't, bro.
It
It's
is
not better than
absolutely
bro.
better
Black
than
War has had
Alphamon.
nae tops and yonks, but
That's 'cause
Alphamon
nobody
has literally
plays
just
it.
had a top. Mate, Mayor, are you telling me more people play Alphamon than Black War? That is cap. That is cap.
Yeah, I'd say so.
I think you're on cap, Adam. Also,
But
can
I just
smell
don't know
chicken
what,
noodle
like-
soup.
I'm jealous. I just don't know what in Black War Greymon like really punishes anymore. Like with Alpha, at least if Alpha like gets away with itself, you're kind of like, all right, I've got maybe like 2 turns before I'm like in the back of an ambulance. Like Black War Greymon, it's just like, I mean, like one or 2 cards, like Cobb was saying, you just like Magna Zuddy, and then it's just like, cool, I've just undone like your 3 turns worth of damage or whatever now, like with the speed of it. And I think that anything that you would include in Black War Greymon to make it as aggro as the meta needs it to be, you should just slap 2 War Greymon X antibodies and just call it a War Greymon deck instead. Do you know what I mean? Like,
I think it says a
Oh, that
lot
sounds
as well,
good.
man, that like, see when this deck was last relevant was probably like BT12, and when people were running this in BT12 there was not really much Black War. There was War Grey Toolbox which had some Black War cards in it, and it's like dedicated Black War has kind of just fallen and fallen, it feels like. So I mean, I'm happy to leave it in 3. I don't think we should be too pernickety and going, well, if this is in 3, then that, I think that deck's better than that deck, so that shouldn't be in tier 2, but because we've all got different opinions and we're kind of just try to arrive at a communal point here, right? So Black War in 3, I think we call it there, and we'll move on.
Yep. Moving on to War Grey. Does it outclass its older
Yes.
brother?
Yes.
I think it's
Yes.
low 2. Yeah.
I think it's
Yeah.
2 somewhere. Again, I'm Mr. I've seen this deck get a top 16, so it must be good, right?
Yeah.
But the guy who, this is a thing I've always wondered, right? People who play Wargrey are like, oh my god, this fucking deck has like so many options, I'm so confused. And I'm like, why can we not just dome somebody for 3 checks with Pearson and then unsuspend, and then dome somebody for 3 checks with Pearson and then blitz Omni? No, is that not alright anymore? And the guy who got top 16 was doing just that, man. He was running 4 security Greymon, the legend. He knows what he's doing.
Based.
Do we think it beats Alpha?
It's got less tricks, I would say.
This is a conversation
I
for
don't
a
know if
year
it's
ago.
as
What the
fast. It is, isn't it? It is. But this is just the steam power of some decks. I would say has access to Crimson Blaze probably better than Alphamon.
I mean,
Ooh.
Crimson Blaze is a lovely goat.
It's a hell of a drug, man. It's also got Hades Force.
It's one of my favourites.
Hades Force, to be honest, does probably go crazy against a board of Numemon Patter as well. So, I mean, I think it's pretty decent, right? This list relit the fire in the Greymon believing inside me. I mean, it's like he's running the red tie. He's running the Metal Greymon X to gain set +1. He's at 3 he's at 3, maybe 4 checks. We dome a guy, pretty good. So
Put a wee
I
ADP
think-
in there.
we EDP sadly, but I think that also makes sense. If you've got room for it, slap it in. Why the hell not? I mean, Lugamon's running it, and that's less consistent for ADP than this deck is. So
I
why
do
not?
play it in Lugamon.
What is ADP, bro?
A delicate plan.
A delicate plan.
Delicate
Bro,
plan.
did you play the game
Ah.
yesterday? Like, it's ADP.
No, what, bro?
You
I've just
forgot
always called it
ADP.
delicate plan.
No, it's ADP.
Acronyms are cool, man.
They are so cool, but they're so in right now.
Yep.
Yeah,
Bloom
moving on to
on now.
Bloomy.
Big Bloom.
The
Yep.
classic deck that keeps getting more and more support and doing very nothing with it, even though it seems ridiculously powerful in a.
It's starting to get a bit Black War-y, in the or just War Grey, in that it's got so much options. People aren't playing it the best because they're trying to play literally everything. That's a 4-drop plant, but it's still an insanely powerful deck that just goes absolute brrr when it gets the chance to.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, part of me is like, this is what one of our first 1.5 contenders. But the problem is, it lacks the results to sit there. Like,
I'm a firm believer, and I always have been, that Bloomlord is one of these decks that people sleep on and not enough people play or care about plants to actually like go, right, I'm taking this to the top. It's also very brain intensive to play to a high level. So I feel like less people play it, and that really hurts the evidence we have that it's good. But yeah, I am a firm believer that it's still strong, and it's had that much good support. Like, there's so many Bloom cards that I've read when they got revealed and went, geez, oh, that's going to be bonkers. Just more ways to gain free memory. But yeah, I think it's a good deck. It's just not proven.
yeah,
Green's got so much nonsense going on as well. Like, I'm a big Rosemon enjoyer, which I can see
Yeah.
that we're going to get to, but it's almost the same deck up until, you know, like halfway through your level 5s. There's so many good options in the low end to just churn out bodies, and I don't know if it suffers from like some of the things we've spoken about where people are just looking for like things that feel a bit more fun or just a bit more fresh in the meta. They don't just we're like, what, this is 5 main sets ago, was it BT10 I
Yeah.
think? So 5 main sets later people are just thinking like, right, okay, what's something new that's maybe similar that I can play, right? People would rather play something like Lugamon, or they'd rather play whatever, right? But I think it's just nuts, like especially with like, I don't know how many people have read Quantumon lately, but like like Quantumon is just like wild. So many people were like, got Quantumon of a BT15 box, what a write off, and it's just like, are you kidding? Would you rather have like Melga that's going to get put to sleep in a week, or would you rather like have a Pokemon that you can only run at 25%? Like,
Hey,
I just, it was such a aye, but yeah, but Pokemon's only good now because you play 7 Omnimons.
No,
Let's be real. Like, address the elephant in the room now.
I play 14 Omnimons. Get it right.
Oh, sorry.
And
no,
listen,
that must be-
Pokemon was
Yeah,
fun.
James for giving you
Pokemon
that.
was fun. Yeah, James did give me that. Big shout out to Ginger James, my one of my wives. What's the correct English
what are
term?
you, fucking Henry VIII?
Yeah. Except
It's
I
2024, man. I
don't
respect it.
behead them. I just make them work for me at my events.
He doesn't behead them, he head judges them.
I do.
Checks
What's
out. But yeah, I still think Bloom's nuts. Like,
Yeah.
in any deck that you can put the Hydrossi in, man, I fully stand behind
Yeah,
it.
it's
So.
getting
Oh,
slapped
God,
into
the
1.5.
Hydrossi.
We do love Hydrossi.
Yeah.
Anyone want to buy 2 Hydrossi alt arts off me?
No,
I really
you
have
ruffle
one,
shuffle.
but-
Shake my hand.
Big Hydrossi.
What-
Yeah,
Um,
are they tackled or not?
Hold on, I've just looked up 1.5.
So here's the thing. I think, since we all agree this deck definitely has the potential to be a top meta contender and nobody's playing it, I think we put our necks out here and say Bloom is 1.5, go try it.
I've got one issue with that. Do you know what it
fucking
is?
Lack of results.
2 issues with that. What does Bloomlord do as a deck? What's Bloomlord's
Gain memory,
game plan?
swing
Oh,
for 95
right,
checks.
fucking Lavaya, you shit cards on board.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
a deck where the game plan is I play bodies onto the board. I don't think is
Right, but
1.5 in Levia
You're forgetting
environment.
how fast Bloomlord is. Bloomlord has a good chance to kill you before you've got a fish out.
Don't care.
I think you
It's no fast.
underestimate
It's
how
no.
fast
It's no
Lavaya
fast
is as
enough.
well.
It's no fast enough to beat That's Leviah chomping it all down, and it's no fast enough to beat. You played a man because you're forced to. He comes out and he eats 2 of them, and then next turn he's doming you for
but then
game.
it also
Well-
murders Numemon X.
I don't know if it murders Numemon
It
X
does because
either.
it susses everything, then just swings through everything for 85 checks. It doesn't care what you do.
Yeah, but if you
Nah,
swing
I'm not-
through
I'm
it, it
not
just
buying
plays them
that.
all again.
Its defo is 1.5.
I wouldn't say defos. I think it's worse than armor by far.
I wouldn't say so.
Here's the thing, I'm kind of with Callum because I was thinking about it, I was like, in my head, armor has a slightly better chance of winning against Leviah, and armor definitely has a better chance against Numemon by the fact of if Bloomlord swings over the Numemon X, it's gonna shit out a guy and take off 2 checks from it.
Yeah, and it's like the turn's gonna get passed if you swing over Numemon more than likely, right? Unless you get the one off HPD and you go crazy, but then if Bloomlord sees HPD every time it's tier 0, I guess, so... yeah.
I think
don't know.
we give this to our guest. Renji, your decision here.
So I think that so Leviah was actually a good point, right? When I was saying like, oh, I don't know why people blah blah blah, like it was like staring me in the face. Like the reason that people aren't playing it is because of that like answer, right? Because that's just like a scoop. Like GG, I'll see you next round. I'm gonna spend my 50 minutes looking at dice. Like I just don't think it's. I don't think it stands up against that. Like at least something like Rosemon, you could just be like, all right, okay, cool. I just know I need to redirect my efforts into being more of like a stack deck instead of trying to be like slightly wider and wait for my opponent to attack or whatever. So with the speed thing, yeah, I think it's worse than armor. Like, or armor's better than it, I suppose is the way to word it. So I think it probably, on that regard, it would sit tier 2. If I wasn't looking at anything else, my brain would be like, yeah, it probably sits 1.5 because I reckon people could probably do good things with it. But then it comes back to the conversation we just had of like, but why isn't anyone doing it? And I think it is because you need to realize like what is in the meta, what's there. Like if you've got anything like any purple deck that decides to take a ruin mode, actually, do you know what? Just any purple tech card that you're talking like Death X.
But the thing is though is that we can't start talking about techs because then we just open up the conversation too much. Or like, oh yeah, Leviamon's great, but what if I take in the random X card that defeats it 10 out of 10 times, but nobody plays, sort of thing.
The thing is, though, man, people are taking against Numemon, and one big take against is Death X, because Death X is like can be a massive blowout against Numemon at times. So like it's actually like a fairly, it's no like a crazy Death X meta, but there are a decent number of people that are going to be running Death X now. And if you're talking about like techs against Leviah, a lot of people are running Merciful mode as well because that helps shut down its bite and crush and stuff like that. So I think you do have to consider, like this is, see from my point of view, right, coincidentally a lot of the decks I've played in this game play off the board. They have a lot of bodies on the board, they play out wee guys by effect, and almost every meta it's like last set it was Anubis, right, plays wee guys by effect, so people are like, Rune mode is cracked, Crimson Blaze is cracked, and then I'm sitting there with Etamon like, bro, both of these cards happen to destroy me, and they are not put in this deck to hurt me, but they hurt me massively. So I think you do have, when you're talking about like how competitively viable a deck is, you do have to think about like what are people taking against, and they're taking against Numemon, yes, but it also does Shaft Bloom. Like every red deck's going to be on Crimson Blaze this format, which is also like
100%.
extend hand against Bloomlord.
Yeah, I think when your deck relies on like lots of wee guys less than 6k is, well, we'll use 6k as like the buffer. Anything like you said is taken against Numemon is just going to like absolutely shaft it, and I just think that it probably falls short at that point. So I would like it to be higher. Like again, I didn't disagree with it being 1.5, but just thinking about what it's going to come up against. Like I know some people in like you were talking last week on, or maybe was it 2 weeks ago on the podcast about the boy Yoshi from the Power Ranger, who was he's a big green deck Chad, and the last regionals that he performed in, he was the highest Bloom player, and I think he still got like 76 or something. Do you know what I mean? And it's just it
Yoshi
probably
does love a wee
speaks for
Bloom,
itself.
a wee Bloom deck.
Yeah, homie is the
Yeah.
king of green. He won like 4 spring breaks and got his 4 double typhoons. So GG's to him.
Fair play.
Fair.
Yeah, man.
Well,
So yeah, I think it says here.
I think we can agree then. Bloomlord, if it wasn't for Numemon running amok, probably could actually do better,
Right.
but because of that, getting shafted by the tech.
So there's a major problem that we're now uncovering. Bloom is one of the best decks in the game. If it's not 1.5, nothing is.
Bro, did you just listen to what we talked
I
about
did,
in the last 5
but
10
like,
minutes?
if it's not 1.5,
It's
nothing
a,
is.
it's a hostile... No, but we're not looking at the deck in isolation, right? We're looking at the deck in the BT15 meta. It's a hostile environment for Bloomlord to exist. Plant life cannot grow in such a hostile environment, bro.
I can plant life grows literally anywhere. Watch the William David Attenborough
William?
documentaries.
The William Afton.
William
Afton.
No, no, the
William
purple man.
Afton.
It's such a-
No, the purple man.
It's what if I'd say this, right? This might change your mind, right? The environment against wee guy meta is so toxic that Gallantmon won a regional.
It's
Bro,
not.
wait.
But
True.
He's still tier 2?
right, but Bloomlord
1-5.
doesn't win by shitting a bunch of guys out.
It bloody well
wins by
does.
shitting
It
a bunch
definitely
of,
does.
No, I'll rephrase. Sorry, it doesn't win by shitting a bunch of guys out and attacking with them. It wins by shitting a bunch of guys out and then using them for fodder to do other stuff. The main big thing is the aggressor. It's definitely not. It's better than Magna for sure, because it can reach 17, 18, 20k, and the redirect gets nuked. But it's Defo's a 1.5 deck.
Well, the thing is, man, I don't think we're going to get... I don't think you're going to bring us around here, Adam,
Yeah.
to be honest, and you're outvoted, so I think you're going to be unhappy and we'll have to leave it at 2, honestly.
Oh, he's
but
going to
then,
be...
see when this gets tops, Adam, you can come back and go, I bloody told you so.
See, I want it to top because I think like this deck is being slept on, but also if it's not topping and people are playing it like that, Yoshi you said is playing it, then there has to be a reason. Yosh.
It's because some people just love it, man. Like, some
Yeah.
people are dedicated Bloomlord stans. And, I mean, certain people are just like, I freaking love Palmon, I guess. And that is the closest thing you can play to, like, a Palmon deck other than Rosemon. But it's... like I say, I just do think it's too much. And even, I see what you're saying, Adam, like, it generates wee guys that don't swing. It uses them for value. But the value payoff for the wee guys is... I've got Pearson in 16k and I'm swinging for 2 or 3 checks. And I don't think that's good enough to, when the next turn the response is like, yeet your whole damn board, to be honest. Like, I don't think that's good enough.
Yeah, I think it's just not fast enough to keep up. Like, as I don't, and I could be very wrong. I mean, I've not played Bloomlord since probably it came out, but I just don't feel like anyone's been able to like OTK with it, which is probably what it needs to do to survive. Because I mean, if I was playing against it and I was playing any of the decks that had an answer to it, as soon as there's more than like 2 guys on the field, I'm just like, man, I forget that you've even got security. Like, I'm just looking at clearing what's on the board, because
Yes.
if you've got any less than 1 other guy on the board, then Bloomlord's like a bit redundant. You're probably not claiming anything back to keep turn. You're probably not doing any more than 2 checks. If you do 2 checks, the probability of hitting a bomb or something potentially bigger is like still a threat in there. Do you know what I mean? Or like whatever it is, I just don't think that it's not the same format where you can spend your time going wide, having 5 guys on the board because you're suspending your opponent's guys and stuff at the same time, and then now you're evoing into your Bloomlord, you're gaining back 3, you're swinging for Pearson, 2 checks, 3 checks, whatever it is, and then you end your turn with a quartz, and you're like, cool, like next turn the game's mine. Or I just don't think it's that meta anymore. But again, could be wrong, but no one's playing it, so.
Right. Now that we're done justifying Adam's anger, Adam, just so you know, you're going to be so much angrier at the next 1.5 suggestion I put up. Let's move on to blue hybrids.
Yep.
That's
a
blue
tier
flare,
3,
my
I feel.
guy.
Blue flare, blue hybrid is not on this list, I'm going to guess, actually, given that it's
No.
so irrelevant right now.
That's vaguely an I forgot. I feel like it should kind of be on the list. But
Bro, I
also
feel like
don't
if we
think
put it
would
on
be
the
higher
list,
than
it's just
2.
here for local viable, and that's it. And even then, it'd be the bottom of locals viable. It's like if you're pushing it, this could maybe
swear
do
it
it.
did something recently.
It
like,
did
I
something
can't remember.
the set Tommy came back, but that was 2 sets ago.
Was it?
Yeah,
I'm fucking
well, yeah,
getting
but Tommy
old,
came
man.
back in BT14. We've had EX5 and now we're on BT15.
Oh, I hate fucking
Yep.
time skipping my memory, man. It feels like it was yesterday, and I was angry about it.
Time
But
is an illusion.
Anyway, back to the blue deck I named incorrectly. Blue Flare. Tier 3?
It's.
So the sorry, you say what you're
I
gonna
was
say
gonna
first.
say
Adam?
it's not better than Hunters at the moment, which
Perhaps.
Perhaps, but if Hunters makes tier 2, maybe this can as well.
So there is one thing that's happened that's kind of made a wee bit of noise about Blue Flare again, right? And it's Supreme Connection, right? So if you don't know what Supreme Connection does, it reveals top 5 and you can add a machine or cyborg. Then you trash a card that's a machine or cyborg from the revealed 5. Then you can put the rest at the top or the bottom, and it's got a delay effect to play a level 5 cyborg, and you reduce the cost by 3. So basically, Supreme Connection digs pieces and then says, when I'm about to play Metal Greymon, I can do it for 0, which is pretty good. Does add much needed consistency to the deck, to be honest. And the fact that you cannot be memory choked or anything when you're going to play down your Metal Grey unless they've got like a Chikuremon out. But I mean, Chikuri's always been like a nightmare for Blue Flare.
Or any cross
Some
deck.
decks are running it though, like Numemon tends to run it. The guy who won with Numemon in Japan was running full Chikuri. So I think because of that, a lot of people are kind of sticking to the Chikuri. Even though I don't think it hits anything else in the meta other than Deep Brigade. Not Deep Brigade, sorry. Devas.
Yellow Hybrid, it kinda hits. Oh, no, it's reduced cost, isn't it? It's reduced play cost, isn't it? No, wrong
Play
thing,
cost,
yeah.
I think it also might carve a niche into the meta because it can beat Numemon. Because they go wide, they play into the Blue Flare condition, you stun them and they go, ah.
I don't
But,
know, mate. It feels like the Blue
there
Flare
is-
condition's still a bit slow.
The condition is like, to be honest, it's like there's a lot of decks now. I honestly think we're kind of going a bit past the period we were in where it was like every deck is wait till turn 3 and then griddy. I feel like a lot of decks are playing on the board now, and that really does play into Blue Flare's win condition. I mean, we've got what? Armors, Bloom Lord, Numemon so far that it all does well into to a degree. Although I guess against Armors, they make Magna X extend hand.
Yeah. I feel like this is one where I can genuinely say Bloom doesn't care. Like Bloom
That's
might have
factual.
Bloom might have a bunch of stun shite on board, but as long as you play it smart and keep the thing that matters in raising, you can just play around it.
I don't think Bloom can play the game against Blue Flare. Unironically, like if this deck is like very fast, can kill you very very quickly. Unless you can play around having 2 things on the board, and Bloom literally can't play the game unless they've got 2 or more things on the board.
That's fair, I guess. Magna can definitely play around that, by the way. Magna can just sit on one Magna X and tell them I eat dick.
It's harder now.
Harder, but you can still do
Ukamon's
it.
so prevalent.
Just
I think you could maybe just go, right, well,
yoink the
I'm just
yoink the Ukomon. Swing it.
I think you do just build Magna X and win, to be fair, so that is a good point.
Right.
But yeah, I think you can do some things in the meta. It might carve a niche just because it's probably got a good Numemon matchup. I would say tier 2.
I don't know, bro. I'm thinking that's fucking cope that this is tier 2.
I think you'll be very surprised if you put it into tier 3. I think that's quite harsh.
What are we thinking
think
from
it's-
our other judges?
So I'll let Adam take the floor.
Honestly, I don't care because it's not a good deck to me. Like, I would happily put it in the bin. If you think it's tier 2, I'm fine with that. I'd say it's probably high tier 3. I'm still
Aye.
making my
I'm not
peace with
saying,
Black
like,
War being
bottom
there,
of
but
tier
I'd say
3.
it's probably high tier 3 at the moment.
I reckon it's probably also like high tier 3. So with Blue Hybrid and Blue Flare, I just hate being stunned. It's like
Yes.
it's one of those like not thinking about how I would play it in a meta and what I think my matchups would be. If I'm thinking about this the other way around, and I'm thinking if I'm playing into Blue Flare, I'm just like, oh God, get me out of this game. Like I think I would probably try and sweat harder to try and out Blue Flare and Blue Hybrid because I've just had such a bad time against them. So I
Yeah.
think like with how much it can stun with that new Supreme Connection card for it, I suppose it did get like a lot of like, it got a lot of like okay buffs in EX4. Like it got more like options, like not literal options, but like more choices that you can play in the deck and stuff. And I think it's still fine, I guess. Like I think there is some, like you could just, you know, throw some Zuddies in there for fun just to make
You
the
could,
deck
yeah.
even
Some
worse. Like
Zudomon.
Zudomons,
Oh.
some Zuddy aces. Sorry,
The
inside
deck
pattern.
does
Sorry,
play the
YouTube.
Zudomons, doesn't it?
We don't really know how the deck plays, frankly, because it's not really had any major showings recently since. I mean, it could also play Ukomon, frankly, right? I don't see why it couldn't.
Yeah.
Well, actually, maybe because turn one, the best turn one for Blue Flare is go Blazing Memory Boost. But
Yeah.
there is another weakness I've just realised. See people raving about Supreme Connection. The only way to use it in this deck is if you've got the dual tamer out.
Yeah, I was going to say, are we not addressing
the
that
EX4
Supreme
one.
Connection's a Machine Dramon card?
It is, but arguably it's better than this than it is in Machine Dramon. So I don't know. I don't know if it's enough to really be like, this is nuts.
Yeah.
But see if this deck came back in an environment that was like, Blue Flare literally says you can't play the game if you're playing into the right matchup. Like if you play into its win con of having guys on the board, then yeah, you can't beat it. I don't think. Unless you've got Magna X. So that's fine. I think that's fine. I actually think the hype over it's a wee bit overstated right now. I would say tier 2, but I think tier 3 is reasonable.
I think tier 2 with 0 results and people coping on a card you need to have your tamer in play for. I'm not saying that's what you want to be running as your competitively viable.
No.
Yeah, I think
Someday
as you go
prove me
through the
wrong.
list, I think as we go through this list more, there's probably going to be more things that go into tier 3. So I think things like the 3 that we have in here at the moment are probably going to be on like the higher end of like
Yeah.
your like
Definitely.
of things that could do well in a locals if you're not like hard sweating it on like a more comp based deck. So yeah, I reckon again, someone if it's like a good pilot, like someone that's like dedicated and Blue Flare and like really enjoys it and knows it inside out,
Then you need
enjoys
to play a
playing it.
different
The
deck,
deck
though.
can do as
If
well.
you
Yeah,
enjoy
like
Blue
it-
Flare, go play something else, please.
It's literally my most hated deck in the game. Like I hate this thing more than Secon.
yeah, I really
don't
hate
like this
playing
deck.
against it.
I don't know.
It's like, ha ha ha, your whole board is stunned. It's the other thing I hate about it though is like, okay, well don't play 2 things on the board. I'm like, but that's my deck. I have to play 2 things on the board. And then you think to yourself, well, what if I can just like cash this guy in and stop having 2 things on the board? But then they're like, no, he's stunned. He's there forever, and he's just enshrined in ice, forever giving me value in an unsuspend. And I'm like, stop. We hate that.
Yeah. Right. So we're happy with that there. Moving on to D Brigade.
How dare you?
Moving on to Grace Nova.
So
I don't think I'm wrong with where I put this.
I
Tier 1,
I've
send
been
it.
playing Grace Nova, and oh boy, let me tell you guys, that deck belongs in the bin so fucking hard. I love the deck. It does so much cool things. It just does absolutely nothing to advance the board state whatsoever. You go, oh, slide me, evolve me, blitz me for 3. I've died. Okay, start again, evolve me, go into Diana, blot. Oh, I've died. Oh, cool. Forget to put Grace Nova into your deck so you can DNA Digivolve. Cool, I've died. Oh, cool, I can DNA Digivolve now. Oh, I've died. It does nothing. It's like I put it at tier 3 if I'm being serious, locals viable, but whatever else we're putting in tier 3, it's at the bottom end of it. It's not quite Diarbitmon material, but it's
Nah.
it's a bit rough.
Area, but
No. What didn't put
didn't
in
put in the boss monster.
the boss monster?
There we
Didn't
go.
put in the deck.
The lovely Adam didn't put in deck
I'm
tier.
not. No, you're not D-Links. Give me the D-Links treatment here.
Yes, you
No,
are.
no. Grace Nova's good. It's tier 1.5, guys. I promise you. See when that. See
Nah,
when that.
it's
See when
definitely,
the
like,
new Agumon
bin or
releases. Oh, you guys are dead meat, man.
Well, it can finally play the game when they
Oh.
release, right? Because they're not basically like, if I don't see one of 8 cards, I
know,
lose the
right?
game instantly.
I'm still
Yeah.
gonna keep it built. I'm hopeful for it, but it's yet another one of the let's make a little 2-stack deck that goes into 1-stack deck that Bandai loves to do, and then they forget about it.
How do you even make a second stack with this deck? Is my question.
You hardplay your fucking level 4 as a searcher and hope.
That's the neat thing. You don't.
I know it's like a dual evil thing, and it's
2-stack deck.
the whole
and
game.
That is a 1-stack deck that is weird.
Aye.
It's fine.
I mean,
Right,
the whole meme
it's
is
not good,
like
man.
getting like the free evo on your opponent's turn, right? It's like a pseudo ace where you use the tamer to slide out the other 6 because you've got the 6 on top, and then you jog rest them end of turn or something, right? Because it dies out. I can't remember exactly how it works, but like I haven't touched this since EX5 like came
It's
out.
Understandable, bro. I don't think anyone else has
I thought it was
I
fun.
have-
Some of the ham.
I
It's a
spent
fun deck. It's a cool concept.
I spent too much money alt arting it, so I need to
Yeah.
talk it up a little bit to
I
keep
am
the stonks.
forever burned by the fact that I opened 6 boxes of EX6, half a case, and got 0 Grace Novas though.
Is that why there was none in your
Yes.
deck?
Also, the fact
Lovely.
that I'm an idiot.
The thing is, though, has Bandai ever made a level 6 fusion deck that's worked?
Yeah.
Like, anything based on DNA into a level 7.
I mean, Mastemon's
usually
a bit
jank.
of success.
That's
But
true.
Mastemon's
then,
into
to
a
be
level
fair,
6. Mastemon's not into a
Or
level 7.
Dinamon.
Well, so
Denimon was always a
people
contentious card for that deck.
people didn't play around or Dynamon in that deck. Like it was like I put one in, and sometimes it works, but 95% of the time I see this card and I'm like, shit, this is useless.
Alter
Yeah.
B has seen a
And
bit of
it's-
success. Not much,
Yeah,
but a bit.
it has seen bits back in the day.
Examon's
They just-
drowning in the sea
These
somewhere.
speckles of winning.
Examon is
Examon
actually the
popped
most
off.
successful they've been by making it a level
Yes.
5 fusion deck.
Bro, I for real love
Well,
that deck.
It is so sick.
Yeah.
Eight rookies or something was it, Adam?
Right, so Brigade Ramon, D Brigade.
Yeah, moving on
Yep. So
to our
this is
next
I
tier
have
2.
differentiated between Oryumon, D Police, and Brigade Ramon, full D Brigade, because I think they do fill a different niche, and then next set they definitely do because
Let's bring
there's
Oryu
more
up.
dedicated D Brigade support coming out. I'll be honest, like I played a lot of D Brigade in BT14 when it came out. Obviously, I took it to finals. I think that deck can do some really powerful stuff. I've played into Oryumon with Numamon, and I don't think the Oryumon cards I'm really that arsed about when I'm playing Numamon, but see the fact that this deck makes lots of small blockers. It's actually kind of annoying for Numamon because the trick to beating the platinum stack is you kind of just don't answer it. You kind of just leave it there. And then they swing at 9k for 2 checks and you're like, block for 2k. And they're like, shit man, he didn't die, what the hell? And then if you know, man, you're on the Vademon and then you de-digivolve it and then you're like,
Oh my God, that
rip
card.
bozo. It's broken, mate. I'm telling you. Like, I'm certain I could bring my finals BT14 D Brigade list back and, like, do alright into the meta. Like, Leviamon would be honking. I'll be real with you. Leviamon would be honking. But Numamon, I think you'd have a shot at beating. So, yeah, I think you can slam it into tier 2 somewhere on the low end.
I'm thinking probably tier 2 somewhere around here for the same problem. Like, the same niche that these two decks, I know they're different and especially quite different sometimes, but
Yeah.
the same niche these two decks fill is the problem that Numemon is being teched against, which is
Yes.
small bodies. It's the same thing holding back Bloomlord. People are running your... I've forgotten the fucking
When
option
the
card.
blaze is crimson,
Yeah,
when the
they're-
death is out.
They're running them for Nume, and you're just going to have a fucking hard time of it. Like, Brigade Ramon, you've got the option of running the... Or well, both of them, I guess. You've got the option of running the rookie that stops them reducing play cost, but it's not... Or it's still...
It's you can't run it because it's not an archetype.
Yeah.
It hurts too hard in this deck because it really needs to find a Commandramon. You really need to get good numbers for finding Commandramon off the top, so it's like not even really a viable option to fit it in.
Like,
Yeah, I think it just sits neatly at the bottom of tier 2.
well, I've been losing to Commandramon since the deck was a thing back in like set 4 or 5 or whatever. So I'm always going to be very, very sad whenever it gets rated higher than the bin, but I do understand why it's there. But Oriumon is not tier 2 in the slightest. It is...
Yeah, I feel like it should be a bit further
Yeah,
down.
like Oriumon is either low tier 3 or the bin. It's got one
So
good card, and it's...
I might regret. Sorry,
No, I was going to say it's got one good card, and it's not even that good because it's a level 3.
Yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things. It's like, why would you Oryu when you can
Yeah.
Brigade?
Well, that's what I feel like. They're kind of the issue with D Brigade to me was that at the time you didn't have a good enough in archetype engine, so you're like filling in the spots with old pieces that aren't as good. Like, I think if you're not running Vaidmon, the best way to run D Brigade was just with 4 level 5s, which is just kind of shanterific,
shite.
to be honest with you. And the Oriumon stuff is like synergy and anti-synergy. Like, if you're building Oriumon, you want the full Oriumon stack with the protection somewhere down the line, basically. And it's kind of one of these decks that did really well in Japan, or did pretty well in Japan, and I'm like, I've not seen enough of this deck to really 100% know what it does, apart from Sus Guys and then Evo for free. His Oriumon is like that. Block me, Sus your guy, evolve into Oriumon, bottom deck your guy, which is quite good. But
Yeah,
but then what do you do?
it just doesn't see I don't see the point in it.
I mean, the only thing that the level 5 really has going for it is if you like... Because does Satsuki give you Alliance? I forget, or is that the new one that gives you Alliance?
Blocker reboot, mate, and the new one gives you... What is the new one? Alliance reboot.
So I mean, like, the only thing it does is you can like use Alliance to get yourself a free second Brigadramon, right? And then you just become more annoying than it was previously. But as far as like... What was the main difference between these decks? Sorry, I think I missed that. Is Oriumon like that's the main boss monster, or is it including those cards?
To be honest, mate, I've differentiated this when you could have amalgamated them, right? The Oriumon one runs the full Oriumon line and also runs the D Brigade stuff. The Brigadramon stuff does not run the Oriumon line.
Okay.
And is just like fully focused on spit out wee men.
Got you.
Whereas this is the issue I have with the deck, man. It's like, if you've got the Oriumon, you really need to see like some of the Oryu pieces on the way up if you're building Oriumon. But if you're doing that, then you're no spitting wee men onto the board, and it's kind of harder to commit to one line sort of thing. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I actually think it's kind of a hot take to be like, dedicated D Brigade is better than Ginryu, Oryu, frickin' Police Brigade, whatever you want to call it. But I think it might be
Brigade's definitely better.
true. Nice.
Yep.
Cool. Happy with that.
We need to speed a
now
wee
on to
bit.
the next MFer.
Yeah, moving on to our
The
first
bin!
tier
Put
1.5
him in
deck.
the bin!
I love this guy.
Nah,
I wish he was in
The
the bin.
bin.
I hate this deck
I
so much,
have
man.
it's a shame.
Never lost
for
to this
yous.
deck, regardless of what I'm playing.
That doesn't even mean anything.
It's because I've not brought it to
Anus.
locals, bro.
It's Pig Anus.
It's not
It's
Enos.
so bad.
So Adam, this deck has had a variety of tops. It's really came into its own in our unique meta. It is, and I say a variety. It's had like, man, over one hand worth of tops anyway. A guy took it to finals. It can't be bad if a guy tried to take it to finals.
Copium!
Like, they're the best players in the world.
Adam,
It's
you're
not
on
Copium.
Copium here. I'm sorry, bud, but this is one
literally
where
won
I'm
a
saying
regionals at the weekend.
Bad
me-
luck.
the actual meta outranks our opinion. This thing has won a regionals and topped several others. It's too strong to be put in tier 2.
First place, third place, and 8th place at the weekend.
At one tournament, it's had 3 spots and a winner. I think.
Adam, I think
Has
you
to
need
be
to go to that
1.5
tournament
for your
and beat it
case.
I
down.
genuinely do not understand, and I'm being 100% serious. I do not understand how anyone wins with this. It's such a bad deck. It's unreal. Oh, cool. You've played something for 7. I've immediately got my level 6, and you've died. Like, I've removed your level 5.
Nah, you've probably not.
Remove-
What if it's turn 1, bro?
Remove
What if
level
it's turn
5.
1?
You can't blast evolve. Oh, I play another one. Okay, remove level 5. You can't blast evolve. Like, it just does nothing.
Okay, so this is the thing I'll say to you, right? So yes, if you can remove the 5 off the board, that is good, right? A lot of decks struggle to remove this 5 without attacking, right? You play Shine, you go, yippee, swing. If I don't hit like 8k DP removal before the swing goes through, they just blast Evo and they like bottom deck my Marcuses and shit. If I'm playing Numamon and I go, here's a 5, I go, god damn, I better get like 4 things on the board and Monzamon X turn 2 or else I'm struggling here. If they get to the Fang Longmon, that is like, Fang Long is like probably the strongest boss monster they've ever printed in the game. Every turn, nuke your whole board. You can only out it with option cards. And it's a level 7, so a lot of option cards are going to struggle to out it. It's like people in Japan were having to put bombs in just in case they went against this, because it's like, fuck, they've got Fang Long. He's going to kill me. If you can't out this, they win the game probably.
But then, like, Fanglong also benefits off of having another maybe 2, potential 3 guys. So if you want to dedicate like 7 to 8 memory to just get rid of this one guy, there's still 3 boss monsters on the field that could just evo into the guy for 6 and go again.
Yeah, it's quite stinky, man.
Yeah.
It's quite stinky. I hate playing against it. Every time I'm playing against it, it's a deck that's, again, it's got wee guys and they're chipping you. Wee guys that chip are not good against this. I was playing Etamon the format this came out, and I'm like, okay, out your 5 with my Etamon combo, and they're like, ha ha ha, I've somehow got to Fang Long anyway, even though you've turn skipped me 3 times. Cheers, Scott. And if Fang Long hits the board, I'm just sitting going, well, I lose instantly. Unless I top deck Big Fist.
Yeah. I don't think there's...
honestly, it's stinking.
Don't think there's much else to say on the deck. Its results just kind of speak for itself.
I fucking despise it, man. The worst thing is, like, see the aces. I'm like, what one do I play around here? Literally, this happened to me so much. I'm going, okay, if they don't have a Zulong, I can push some damage here. I'm like, swing. They're like, haha, it's turn 2, I've got a Zulong. I'm swinging. I'm like, okay, well, what if I play around a Zulong and I go wide? They're like, haha, I've got a Bone Moose, stun 2. And I'm like, I just can't make any fucking headway here. And then the big man comes out and ruins my day.
Mm-hmm. Fair enough. So sorry to butt hurt you again, Adam.
It's fine. It just means that I can
but-
consistently beat a 1.5 deck. That's good for me.
Yeah. Look,
That is good, mate.
I wish we didn't have to put him up there, but
No,
you're
I've
winning
genuinely played
regionals-
against it a good 15
It's
to
top
20
tier.
times, and I've never lost to it once. They go Fang Long, and I go, cool,
I mean-
kill it. Like, it's...
I hate to...
Maybe Shine has a good time against it. I don't know.
No, it's not
man,
Shine.
but
It's literally anything
does
that
have
I've
a
been
good
playing,
shot.
including Grace Nova.
I don't know how, mate. I actually don't
No
know.
idea.
Bro couldn't find a Fang Long to save his life.
Strip and bounce or something. I don't fucking know, man. I don't know, man.
Right.
But yeah.
On to the next. Callum, take it away with why he's in tier 3.
Mechalectamon.
It's no higher than 3 guaranteed, right? I do think this deck, the Etamon deck, could
shit.
be winnable if the meta allowed it, right? But again, it's wee guy deck, right, that has a big level 6 boss monster. It's a little bit slower. It doesn't really have any way to like cheat memory like a lot of other decks do. And the big win condition you want to do with this deck is make a level 6 force them to attack, play another level 6 and like pop tamers and stuff like that. Leviamon doesn't have tamers. Numamon's tamers are like a backup plan for it. It can't really answer the wide Numamon threats unless you're running like Death X and stuff like that to try and mitigate the losing matchup already. Like, I think if this deck was in like a BT8 format where it's like turn 3 you pull out and set somebody to 1 or 0 security, then I think this deck could come back. But right now I just think it's not a good meta for it whatsoever. And Levia speaks for itself, man. You play a guy by effect that kills your whole board, Rip Bozo.
Mate, when you're saying if we're in a BT8 meta, this man's about to hit the bin. Like...
No, I mean I mean, a BT8 like OTK big stack meta. I think this deck could be good. Like this thing would honestly, this would take Wargreymon round back. Could take Alphamon round back potentially. You know, it's stack decks it has a good time against, but go wide, anti go wide, and anti play by effect meta we're in the now. So it's like, yeah, it's not got a chance.
He sits where he belongs.
Yep.
Right. Nice.
Sad times.
Quick and easy one. Anyone got anything to say about the Metal
I
Monkey?
genuinely do not know what the deck does, so no.
Bro, how have I not played this against you? What the hell?
I'm always stressed when I play against Cobb playing this deck.
I'm stressed
so,
when I play against Cobb. It doesn't matter what the deck is. There's
Nah,
a
bro,
there's
you've
a
made me Cobb
50%
stressed.
chance he's gonna gritty on me.
Griddy's way to first place.
Nah, bro.
Right foot creep.
What?
Right, moving on. Let's
Yep.
get bashing through these.
Our
Oh my
next
God.
1.5 contender. It's either what?
Yep.
Yeah, it's either 1.5 or the new head
No,
of tier
he's
2.
I'd say, well, he does play guys by effect.
It's hard to say, right? It's hard to say.
Yeah.
It's a little bit of an anti-dog meta because again we've got Crimson Blaze on the go. We've got the thing is it does play wee guys, but the wee guys only really come out when you're dead or set to 0 security, and then it goes out my board or lose, bro.
Yeah.
But it's I just think it's one of these decks that's like the high roll is crazy, but what happens when you open your hand and you've got Luga but no AG or AG but no Luga, and then you're sitting there for turns going I make Hell Luga, pop your guy, restart. Okay, I make Hell Luga again, I pop your guy, restart. And
Well, that's
how often can you get away
Well,
with
that's
doing
what the
that
deck's
till
meant to do. You're
you're
meant
dead?
to Hell Luga 2 or 3 turns in a row until you've got your cards, and then you go beep 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 game.
But that's garbage
That's
if
what
you
you're
have to
meant
do
to
that.
do.
I don't know if that's
feel like
what
you-
you're
Like
meant
if you
to
go
do.
backup
straight,
plan.
like if you start the game and go straight into Fenry, you've lost because you've got nothing in your bin. You need to go into a Hell Luga
Yeah,
at
there's no
least
momentum.
once
Aye.
to start filling your bin up, and then you do dog. If you can do it twice, that's even better.
Yes, I agree. I feel like it is based around Helluga and the analog boy, right? But it's my question is that good enough? And I feel like yes, Helluga does help accelerate you into the 6, right? It helps you fix your hand, helps you stall till you find that perfect turn. But if the deck's having to do that in this meta, I think we're struggling. Because I mean, if you're making 2 Hellugas, it's probably like turn frickin' 5 or something like that before you're even attempting to kill somebody. And by the time you are attempting to kill somebody, is it possible that Leviathan's just set up on you and it's threatening a biting crush, or Numamon's killed you if it's turn 5 because you pop one guy with Helluga against Numamon and they go Lamal, play Platinum, gain 2, it's my turn now, bitch.
I mean, the thing is, it's not the most consistent, but it does top like every second event or so, despite the hate on the Wii Man boards.
Like
So
Yeah. I think it does play around the Wee Man board hate. It's just the Levia hate that I don't think it can stand up against.
I would
that
say
well.
that if Fanglong is 1.5 and I'm accepting of that, then Fenrir's definitely 1.5 as well. Because it's very, very strong.
I think, to be honest, it could be 1.5. I wouldn't hate it. I'm more feeling like top of 2, to be honest, but I wouldn't hate 1.5. I do think Fanglong is a significantly stronger deck than it right now. But yeah, I wouldn't say no to 1.5 as a peace offering.
I probably also wouldn't say that like 1.5 is out of the realm. It's another thing that Luga kind of suffered like the Melga scenario. It must just be the Dugs, man. Like it kind of came out and everyone was like, man, this thing's nuts. This thing's going to absolutely destroy things. And then as soon as we started figuring out, you know, BT14 meta and we moved into EX5, it was kind of like, oh, this is maybe not as like hot as we thought it was going to be. But like Adam's right, like it does take that bit more setup. You do just have like someone's trying to establish their board that isn't just wee guy syndrome, right? If we take the wee guy syndrome out of it, someone's trying to establish their board and it's just like, whatever, I'll evo my guy into Hell Luga, get my Luga on back, I'm going to draw 2 more cards, I'm going to ditch 3 even though I only need to ditch 1 or 2 or whatever it might be. Like, oh, I've killed your ace, I tap my 3 analog boys and go, it's my turn again, I've hatched my... Evo Maluga, like I'm just gonna get set back up again. Like it defo has the tools and the search and everything, and I still think it's nuts. But like with how rapidly
And
like
it doesn't have to beat.
our meta
It doesn't
adjusted.
have to beat the tier 1 decks. That's why the tier 1 decks are tier 1. It just needs to be good against pretty much everything else. And it is.
So personally, I think for a deck to be 1-5, it has to have a winning or convincing matchup against one of the two at least tier 1 decks, because I would generally say that the tier 1 decks are going to make up like 50% or 40% of the format.
It can beat Fish.
So
very, very, very easily if it gets the right hand.
I think Fish absolutely
I'm not
takes
saying
it
it.
in
I'm not
back,
saying
man,
it doesn't, but
because
also if Fenrir just plays its cards right, then it just deletes the Fish.
But if it's more, my thing is, if they see one Bite and Crush on the board, you can't play the game, because if they put one Bite and Crush down, the second you go into your Lugamon turn, you go, okay, play a guy by effect that goes, okay, kill Fenrir Lugamon, kill your
Then you
lowest.
don't play the guy out.
Yeah, you can wait
You can't
a turn.
not play guys by effects.
You can wait one turn.
No, but it's a delay option card that sits
Oh.
there and goes. It sits there and goes, when you play a guy by effect, I play a Leviamon from my trash.
Yep.
Leviamon comes out, he eats the biggest guy and the smallest guy, so he kills Fenrir that has no protection, and then he kills one of your fours. And then you go, okay, I guess I have to make the stack again.
It would
But your turn's
definitely
probably
be
over.
rough, but I don't think I think having a winning matchup against one of the top, well, for this in this case, two meta decks,
Are you?
I don't think that's a fair enough one, because not every if they had enough cards, or if they had enough losing matchups to have, say, 4 1.5 decks, then they're probably not tier 1 decks, or the other cards should be going up to face them.
Well, my thing
I'm going to
is-
call again
sorry, you go.
that Fenrir does not need to play guys out. It's a May effect.
That is... Yeah, but then what are you doing if you make a big Fenrir stack?
You
and
make big Fenrir
it's just a guy?
stack, you swing, you delete what they have out, you to unsuspend. Like, you don't need to play guys out by effects. You can hard cast them and then swing with
I just
alliance.
think-
Like, it's not
See if
brain
you're
dead,
doing
just
that,
play
though,
guys out effects.
But if Fenrir doesn't play Digimon out by effects,
Well-
what's the point in playing the deck? Like, that's how the deck wins. It
Yes,
plays
but if a
guys
deck
to
has,
alliance and
if a deck
swings,
only
like,
has
3
one
times.
strategy to winning, it's not a good deck.
I don't think Fenrir can win games unless it plays out both
No, I'm
guys
not.
onto
I'm
the
not
board
disagreeing
to
with
alliance
that, but I'm saying it doesn't have to if it's against a Leviamon deck. It just needs to make big guy and swing with only big guy. Hard cast little guy for alliance. That's all it needs to do. It doesn't have to play the guys out to stand a chance against it, which is why it would be 1.5.
Yeah, I think
I personally think it's got no chance if it doesn't do that against Leviathan.
so. I think that the argument for it is that like the only thing that Luga has against so if we're taking the two top tier ones, and this is probably going to be like my last bit on it so that we can move on to another deck, but I think if it's going up against something like Numemon, all it really needs to do is survive until you've got the opportunity to OTK, and then I think once you've got the opportunity to OTK, it's probably game over, right? Because there's not a dramatic amount in that deck that could probably stop it once it's ready to move. The issue with Leviamon 100% is like any Bite and Crush, Leviathan X being in trash, being able to like remove things from the field so that you can't alliance, or you swing in your first check and hit a Bite and Crush, like that feels pretty bad, right? So there's definitely things that are an issue, but I think Luga, like, because you need a couple of turns to set up and get things into your trash, you can sort of, like, if you're smart with how you play it, you can probably proc a lot of their effects and answer it before you need to OTK. So, like, if you're using Hellugamon, or you go up into, like, your, like, you go up into the Soul Lugamon as the level 5, just so you can play out something to trigger their effects, because I think their options are mandatory. I think it's just, like,
I
when...
don't know.
I'm going to look it up real
question
quick.
is, I can actually ask Adam this now, right? So Bite and Crush is from trash, and the effect is by the return. Oh no, wait, hold on. You play a Leviamon from trash. I don't think it is optional. You play a Leviamon from trash without paying the cost, right? So unless it counts playing Leviathan from trash as a
What's
cost,
optional?
it's not optional. Bite and Crush, delete.
Well, it says you may.
Oh, it does say you may. Well, there you go. It's optional.
Okay, sure,
then.
yeah. So it's
So it's
You
easy
trigger
as
the
that.
delay and
So, yeah.
not play anything. Oh no, you have to trigger the delay, but you don't play. You don't need to play anything.
Have to play Levia.
yeah,
Right.
fair. So it's there's you could try and force it, you could try and bluff it or whatever. I think that's maybe the only thing, and that might be like a bit of copium, but I still think the deck is good enough that you could do stuff with. But I do think it's just like lost a lot of steam because people are like, I'd rather play other things that are maybe direct calls to more popular deck types or just red hybrid.
I will never forget how at Europe finals Fenrir was the most played deck, most represented, and then got 0 top 32 or 0 day 2s.
Yep.
Yeah, but that was before the new support.
The new support is pretty good. The new support just adds a nice bit of consistency. Right. So I'll not beat around the bush anymore, right? If you want to put it in 1.5, that's fine. I think honestly, I'm probably just looking at it and going, armor should be fucking 1.5.
I'm looking at armor the whole time doing
Why
that.
is it
But
1.5?
the only reason I'm not fighting harder for armor 1.5 is that, at least at the time we're at, there haven't been enough events to call results for it. Like, I don't think we've had any events as of recording that Magna has been a legal deck with this card.
Oceania.
Oh wait, oh no, yeah, we've had one because it came out with a fucking rapid, haven't we?
Yeah.
I mean,
So,
my armor too old against Levy, I'm just saying, but
winnable.
it's winnable, guys.
Winnable.
We'll cut.
So we'll make a final call. What are we saying? 1.5. What? Take a vote. I'll say 1.5. Anybody else? Or...
1.5.
I'm on
Oh, no, I'll say
1.
2. I'll say 2.
Yeah, I'm on 1.5 for
Renji
Fenrir.
2.
I would go on 1.5, but I'm also not opposed to it dropping once we get a little bit further into the list. But I think there's still potential for it. Like, what I said with the Melga thing is it's maybe leaning a bit more into control, especially with newer things that are coming out. So you have to kind of change your game plan, but I still think it's viable.
Right.
Very pilot orientated as well.
Yeah.
Deck.
Let's move on then. We have something I think all of us will just agree
Ben!
that it sits. It's a tier 2 deck.
1.5, mate. 1.
Oh, it's so slept on right now. I hate playing against Gallant One so
Gallant
much.
One's always
Shout out John
slept
Stone,
on.
man. Shout
It's
out John
never
Stone.
good.
Bro,
It did just
Gallant
win
has
an
so
Ultimate
many
Cup.
options, right? Gallant has so many options that you're sitting. If you're playing a certain type of deck, right, you're sitting there going, if he has this, I lose. If he has that, I lose. If he has this third thing, I lose as well. Like, and that's how it feels if you're playing Numamon against it. Like, I have beat the John Stone Gallant with Numamon, but the bro just sat there and then I won. As I say, if you've got a way to kill the Numamon on your second turn after their first turn, then I think you can win, and this deck can do that. And we're playing into the trash meta for Leviamon. I think it's got a good matchup into both the top decks.
I
honestly.
currently have a curse of not beating Gallantmon, although I'm starting to break it because I tied against John Stone at locals the other day instead of losing.
Huge.
But
Time stall.
Gallantmon
What a guy.
fucking terrifies fuck out of me, man, because I'll be sitting there with a fully established board, like 3 guys out. I'm threatening lethal on turn 3. He's got a Gilmon and Raising and a Takato, and then the fucking fear that comes through my heart when he goes, raise me? And I'm like, what do you mean fucking raise me? You've got fuck all, mate. Take a turn, let me win. And then he proceeds to griddy fuck out my face and delete my board. It's terrifying. Like, it is a genuinely top, like, either middle or top of tier 2 for me as it currently stands. And I hate that.
I agree.
I
agree.
I can agree with it being tier 2. If someone was about to argue 1.5, I was going to be like, so we're all going to have one deck in 1.5 we all believe shouldn't be there. But
It's better. Well, it's better than Bloom. I
Yeah,
think
okay,
you
we
could
can do
make
that.
a 1.5 argument, right? I think what's going to happen now, see, because that guy won regionals. I think if loads of people love Gallant, right? But the Gallant people have stopped believing. Everyone other than John Stone has
And
stopped
Paul,
believing in the
shout out
Gallant,
Paul.
right? The Gallant sweep.
Shout out Paul.
And Paul.
Yeah.
So everyone stopped believing, but I think now that one man has gave hope back to the Gallant enjoyers, I think people are going to start playing this shit again. I think it's going to see a lot of success. I am just thinking about it, like, in a bubble, it should have a good matchup into the top decks, right? Like, Levia gets the trash set up. Numamon plays wee guys. They've also started playing Crimson Blaze because they just want to go fuck you to wee guys on another level. So I personally do think it's got reasonable matchups into both of them and a strong matchup into Numamon. So I think it could be 1-5 by the end of the meta. But I'm happy to call it. I'm not going to fight the point too much. Still think Armor should be 1.5.
No yet, mate.
I feel like
the set's time yet.
I feel like if you're trying to push Gallant into 1.5, I would start massively pushing for Magna to make 1.5.
No one said Gallant.
Can we take a recount on Magna? Can we take an Armor recount quickly?
No, I think
1.5
it's
for
still
Armor,
top
yes,
of tier
no?
2. Next set, definitely.
Renji, do you think Armor's 1.5 or 2?
I mean, I'm a big fan of it, and I think it plays really well. And I also got 2-0'd by John Stone playing it. Like, I can't remember what my first match was, but I went. Yeah, I was playing Armor. He was playing.
Oh,
Gallant.
you were playing it, right? Okay.
And I went 2-0 against Leviamon because I sped run my matches, man. It was like 2 games in 15 minutes, and went and had dinner. It was great. It was like.
I was gonna say, wants the KFC.
It was. The KFC was brilliant, man. It was even better because I 2-0'd Leviamon. I felt really good about myself, fine. But like, yeah, like I excuse my French, but I ate shit against Gallantmon. Like, it was just constantly popping guys. Trash this. How many cards in your security? Sick. Crimson mode, because you're like, oh yeah, I'll just keep like armor purging. I'll just keep throwing these guys in here so my Magna's like dead big, and then they're just like, how many's in there? All right, well my Crimson mode trashes.
Here comes my
like a
fucking
swing of
free
trash
cost
3.
level 6 Gallantmon for my hand.
Aye, here he comes. Out him next turn.
Honestly,
I win. Out him
it's
next
huge,
turn.
man. Like, it's actually like, I honestly think it's one of those things that's like mega slept on as a deck, and I think a lot of people, like, I don't mean this in a bad way, but I think a lot of people are just like, oh sick, I want to make Gallantmon work, but like probably don't play it very well. And I don't mean that like in a bad way. I just think it's like it's dead niche on how you think about your matchups. Like, you're like, oh yeah, I get it, I pop guys, trash is important, you know, I want to try and like swim, but I actually think it needs like the dedicated Gallant believers to like really know it inside out. Do you know what I mean? And then I think they just dominate with it, man. Like, I only won, like, I won against, again, shout out the guy John Stone. Like, I won 2 weeks ago. I was playing Rapid, and I only won because game 1 he didn't have a rookie for the first 6 turns.
Aye.
And I just kept being
That
able
does
to
happen to him.
like pop the 4s. Like, it didn't matter how many tamers came out, how many searchers there were. Like, didn't get a rookie for 5 turns, and then he was down to 1 security. There was no comeback. And then game 2, like, I pulled like the perfect Rapidmon hand draw. Like, everything was in place. I always had an answer. You know, the giant missile was the first card in security. Like, it was a great time for me. Like, I don't know if you've heard the story, but I bought him a pack because I felt so bad. Like, I 2-0'd him so bad that I went and bought him a pack just hoping he'd get an all or something, man. I felt that bad about it.
That's the title of this video.
And then 100%, and then he like 2-0'd me, like, Gallant V armor, like, so quick, man. I just didn't stand a chance against it. Like,
Yeah, it is honking, man. Like, War Grill X. I don't even think the guy was running War Grill X at 1, but that card is fucking bonkers, man. Just pop 8k off or 6k off the board and gain memory off it. Like, what? Sorry, what? Say again?
also just doesn't matter how much like Matt Suck just gives you bloody blitz on everything. Like,
I know. Suck. Matt Suck, Crimson mode, extend hand.
yeah,
Stinking.
totally.
Right, let's take a vote on this before we continue to like ranting on the Gallant. Do you want it 1.5? I'm a firm
No,
tier
it's
2
tier 2.
believer.
I think right now, I think I would be taking a gamble to put it in 1.5.
We need to keep this timely. We're already over 2 hours in for our
for
poor
sure.
viewers, and we've still got
Yeah,
more than
so
15 decks to
let's
go.
just call it 2, man. I think it's got potential for 1.5 this format. John Stone hitting his first regional with me and Renji
Shout
in
out.
April. So let's see how he does it, man.
Yeah, best of
I
luck
want to take
yous.
him into the lab.
So next
Right.
up we've got Siriusmon Ace
Tier 3.
slash
I think-
the whole Proxima Mon
I think
deck.
he makes 3.
Don't know enough about it. It's tier 3.
I think I think it's one of the ones where it's like the deck was almost playable the first time we got Proximon, but we got it too late, whereas in Japan it was actually like the tiniest bit playable because they got Proximon before BT14 or 13, one of them.
Yeah.
And then we got it the other way.
13, yeah.
Yeah, 13. And we got it the other way around. with the Ace stuff, I think you take this to a locals, you can have fun. If you play well, you can win your locals. You're never going to take this to a large scale event with
like
the hopes of winning.
The bad thing about the photo is
No.
that the Sirius Mon Ace isn't played. It's Regulus Mon Ace that gets played as the Ace card. You play Sirius at like a one of. It's a decent deck. It's got all the pieces it needs to be competitively viable. It's A, missing protection, which is rough, and B, it's
no got
it's no good
protection, mate.
protection. And it's also just kind of like, it's one of those decks where you're like, yeah, I could play this, or I could play another deck that does the same thing but is better. And the thing that does Sirius Mon Ace's thing better is Alphamon.
Alphamon, Gallantmon, anything.
No, it's Alphamon.
It does.
So
It's got such a massive variety of stuff it can do that it's like I almost don't know what the deck is
It's trying
to
to
do.
place a bunch of things
Confusing.
into. It's trying to create the biggest stack possible, go into Proximamon, and then kill things, or it's trying to go into Arcturusmon, die, play out Proximamon, kill things. But it kind of suffers from trying to do a little bit too much, and its colours don't necessarily match up. I know all of them can evolve over each other because of the special Digivolution requirements, but at the same time, they're still a little bit mismatchy. And like, if you're going to play this, why wouldn't you just play Alphamon that does what you want to do with Gamamon, but it has a much better top end of Oryukin mode? But it
Yeah,
pretty much sums it
think
up.
that's all
I
we
would
need to
say
say.
it's the bin. It's not the Rabbitmon material, but it's definitely like bottom of tier 3.
Aye, it's like
Yeah.
a locals warrior, man,
Yeah.
and it'll take somebody to really crack
Like,
this.
I've
and
just
do well
got
with it for
the
people
I've got
to
the
even
PCs
start
finally
trying.
after searching for them, so I'm gonna try and build it if I remember to. I'll report back.
While we're here, can we just throw the
Yeah,
Jelly? I know
Fetusmon
this is
can-
Amphibimon, but can we just throw the Jellymon in the
Go
bin?
into the toilet. Bye bye.
Yep.
Yep. Just not enough of anything really. Just leave it there.
I honestly think it could be locals viable, but I'm not fighting it too much.
I mean,
I think
Fought Jordan playing it, and I was going, "What the fuck is going on
It's always
here, man?"
weird
It's
when
kinda
someone brings a
interesting.
deck to locals that isn't really played, and you're like, I don't know what any of these fucking cards do, man.
He was doing some cool shit. Trust.
yeah,
but
I think it sits in a cool like middle of tier 3 thing because I think it just like
middle.
yeah, middle of tier 3 for me. Like I think it does like so what it does with regards to like the you trash a lot of stuff with, if I remember right, it's like with Jellymon in name, and then a lot of the protection effects or restanding. Again, feel free to correct me, but I feel like a lot of the restanding or the protection, then you move Jellymon in text from trash to bottom deck, I think, so that it stays around a bit more, and it thrives on like hand size. So it kind of has like a good. It's clear with what it wants to do, which is what I think Gamamon lacks. Like Gamamon's kind of just like, yeah, maybe we delete things, maybe we trash security, maybe we're aggro, maybe we de-digivolve. I don't think there's de-digivolve, or maybe one of the new ones does, but
wouldn't it surprise me mate, if there was a black Gamamon card? Wait, Bombermon is coming out. Does he de-digivolve?
maybe that's where I've read it. Like it's just, you know what I mean? It's like and I suppose that's what Gamamon does, right? Because the whole point is that he can do all these different things. But I think Jellymon's stuff is consistent. I just don't know if it's necessarily good, but. If you're sitting with a card out and you're like, all right, cool, this is aggressive, I need to try and deal with that, and they've got 9 cards in the trash with Jellymon in its name in it. Hold on, I'm gonna look up the old Amphi real quick. So it's like, when Digivolve and when attacking, trash up to 2 blue cards in your hand. For each one, trash 1 card under your opponent's Digimon or Tamers. So you trash sources, then return something with no Digivolution cards to the bottom of the deck. And then all turns once per turn, when one of your blue Digimon would be deleted, return 3 cards with Jellymon under text from the trash to the bottom of the deck and prevent its deletion. So it just kind of like hangs about as like a 12k body that like doesn't really do anything. And then when you attack, you can continue to trash stuff from your hand to remove sources and then potentially bounce stuff. Like it's consistent and it's cool, but like, is it good? Probably not. But I don't think it's bin worthy. I think it's annoying to
nah,
play.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
convincing me that it's locals
It's
viable,
not.
but
Yeah.
It does cool stuff, man. Keep it in tier 3.
I think it can be the last deck in tier 3 because genuinely the Gamamon deck can do stuff. It's just no one can be bothered to do it because
I think-
the good Gamamon
yeah.
cards are promos that we never fucking see in Scotland at least. So
We've got them now, mate. We've got them very late.
that's the classic.
I'm just going to say as well, I think Etamon is going to be the gatekeeper of Tier 3. It's
Yeah.
like if you can beat Etamon, if you do something cooler than Etamon, then you can go higher up Tier 3. But everything above Etamon is like an actually good deck that's just got some issues right now, basically.
Honestly, I'll see here. Etamon upwards, the card art is all really cool. Numamon's a bit of a weird exception. Etamon downwards, ignoring the Adam tier, the card artwork is an anime pick. And I think that just
we
speaks
hate
for
that,
itself.
Man. It's just the LM. It's like One Piece out here, man. What the hell?
Right. Moving on to the Metal Garurus. Where are the Garurumons
What am I
going?
to
We've
do?
talked enough about them. I think we can. I
Yeah.
think we could just determine where they sit.
Somebody needs to crack it, man. We've said this before. Because the build is up in the air and it's doing things that kind of counteract each other. It's like, I mean, I did also lose to this deck on turn 2. John Stone was playing it. I also did lose to him turn 2 after giving him 1 memory. So, it can definitely still do that shit, but it's inconsistent and the build's all over the place. People haven't nailed it down yet.
Yeah, as far as I'm aware, it's not topped.
No, I've
it's
not
not
seen
been
it on
in a
any
top
charts.
cut post ban. So like now that people have to try and play some sort of blue base again, I said this earlier on the pod, so I'm probably not gonna riff on it too hard. But I just think it sits somewhere right now where the old aggro mindset isn't as good as it used to be because of the meta, and I think people don't want to commit to trying to make it some sort of control thing. And then I just think people are just not playing it, and they'd rather play. Like, if you'd rather be purple control, you play Levy, and if you'd rather be some sort of blue aggro, you're playing Mirage, right? So, like, why bother even playing Melga?
Yeah.
Yeah, fair.
Right. Moving on to Sea Source Strip, as I'm going to call it.
God, I love them.
Actually, I was really impressed with this deck when you played it against me. Like, this deck took me by complete surprise with how consistent and actually, like, semi-powerful it was.
Yeah, I just...
Plazio X, a hell of a draw.
Yeah, like, I think
Fish.
it's, like... I just think it's cool, guys. Like, that's about all I've got to say on it. The cards are really cool. Like, it really annoys me, right? Because in Digimon, well, Bandai do this quite a lot with Digimon, where some archetypes are just like screaming to be good. Like, they're so close to being good, and there's stuff that's done possibly on purpose to just keep them like slightly behind bars. And the problem that I have with a lot of this is the Plesio support specifically doesn't work with Aegistramon. So you had like the Betamon that just inherently gives blocker, which is cracked, and if you play it from a source, I think you or something's frozen, I think.
Yep, you freeze something from a
But it's only if it's played by an effect, right? So the idea is that you probably want to play it out of the source, and then one of your opponent's Digimon, like no other conditions. It's not source related because you've just played out the 3 from sources. It doesn't need to have no sources. It's just like you just freeze it, and it's cool. The Inheritable's jamming, Kush. The Seedramon is just rush jamming, and you're like, this is amazing, this is cracked, but they don't work with Aegistramon that well, and you're just like, but why not? Like, it was so close to being good, and the only other engine that I suppose you could probably try and put it in is combining it with the Goma stuff, which
That's
again
what
is
I
cool.
assumed this was meant to be representing.
Yeah, but then the Goma stuff all deals with Sea Beast, Plesiosaur, and Beastkin, so then all of that good stuff that we spoke about in the middle, like the Betamons, the Seedramons that give you rush, the Inheritables with jamming, they all don't align with that either. So now you're playing, Gomamon with the Ikakumon, which again is like source strip, and it's fine. It really ties in with Zudo Ace, and it's cool, but then you've kind of lost like the ability to pull other wee guys out and stuff. Do you know what I mean? Like, you just and I get why you don't want to like Evo and Aegistramon and play out your Zudomon Ace for free and like just continue to dominate the board. It would be nice, but like it's just not gonna happen. So this is the deck's fun, but it just lacks like big oomph. Like, I was playing it with like Omni on the top end, Omni X antibody for like a bit of fun. I merged it with Blue Hybrid at one point because, like I said, like your middle ground is like a bit weird. So it was like Goma, like the new Gomamon, the promo Gomamon with the Inheritable for gaining memory when you trash sources, and the Goma X for like search. Because I think your hybrids count on the Goma X search. So like it's cool. I don't want to big this deck up too much, but this is just like a cool pet deck.
Do you know what it is, man? It's like this Digimon has this problem, right, where there's every set has to have like, oh my god, this is the new Digimon line we're printing and we want to buy it, right? So certain decks get more support than others. And then you've got things like Gomamon that have never really had a deck, right? Like a Gomamon tribal deck. It's always like Gomamon is a supporting card in another archetype. And if you go back to like the last time that Gomamon had cards printed for it, we're probably looking at literally one of the first sets of the game. And because the deck is like trying to be Gomamon tribal and doesn't work with the other blue decks that you've tried to merge it in, basically because you need to fill slots, you have to put other stuff in. The deck just doesn't work, and they've printed actually good cards and good support for it. This is like the second wave it's had, but I always think decks that have not existed for ages in Digimon, like Diaboromon's an example of this, right? Because it's such an ancient deck and it's been so far away from it being relevant meta, it actually needs like more than a wave or two. It probably needs like 3 waves or 2 full waves of support.
Hurts my soul.
Like this second wave is just
Kurt Russell.
Plesio X and Gomamon X, which are amazing cards, but it's basically had like 1.5 waves to make it good. It needs like a starter deck or like 2 full waves or something more, man. It's just a common issue that Digimon seems to have. I've seen it time and time again happen.
Yeah. I think, are we happy with the placement of it? Mainly just because between the three of us, we barely know what these 3 decks do, except for
I know
Jelly.
what Sirius does. It's just the wrong card for
I'm
it.
happy we even get that much discussion out of it.
Yeah. I mean, this is a deck I really want to be good, whether it is the Goma... Sorry, I just hit my mic. The Goma Tribal version or the Sea Beast play from under sources, which I desperately want to be good. Give us some Seedramons for that deck, please.
I know, man.
But it's just... It's a cool design, both card-wise and... deck-wise, it just seems really interesting to me, and I'm fairly happy with the strength of the newer cards. Just give us one little push, and it'll work.
Yeah.
Yes. Believe in it.
Right, who wants to rant about
Speaking of
Leomon?
which, man.
Right, so we've got heavy
Speaking of
Leomon. So it's sort of a self-contained deck that you got in EX5 that you play alongside Bancho, Leomon, and stuff like that. Its entire shtick is its Indomitable trait, which basically is the old Millennium Mon ability of if it dies with sources, it comes back, and then you slide an X antibody underneath it, so the next time it dies, still has a source, so it comes back again. Every time it dies, it de-digivolves something, I believe. I can't read the card that low, but I do remember it doming me.
What one is it? Elecmon has that as an inheritable, and also Grap Leomon has that just as an effect
Yeah,
when it dies. De-digivolve one.
It's a weird deck. I wouldn't say it's inherently incredible. I'm kind of thinking it's either the lowest end of tier 2 or a higher end of tier 3, because it's not amazingly incredible, but if you go up against it, part of you is going to be shitting bricks because you don't know how it's going to go. And I feel like if you're going up against it and you genuinely don't know how your matchup's going to go, that means it's scary to go up against, especially if they pop off a wee bit. And the good thing about the deck is that it is a self-contained deck. Every single card you need is in EX5, so if you want to build this deck, you just need a couple of boxes of EX5 and that's it. Or just buy singles, because it's like a tenner for the SRs or whatever. I'd say it's a pretty good deck. It's surprisingly good. I'd say, I mean, if we've got it where it is just now, it's definitely better than Belphemon. It's definitely better than Blue Flare. Probably better than Black War. I'd say it's probably better than Melga and Alphamon as well, so I'd probably put it in tier 2. But that's just my thoughts.
I think, to be honest, there's certain things in tier 3 I think should be at the bottom of 2, right? But the deck is surprisingly good. It can do some interesting things. It's just a little bit on the slow side and the inconsistent side. To tell you how inconsistent this deck is, there's people unironically wanting a vanilla green Elecmon in this deck because it's kind of lacking cards. I think it's better than Garurumon or Alphamon? Absolutely fucking not. But it can do some cool things, man. Like if they get into the 5 and the 5 dies on the swing turn, they can probably out like your 5 or slow you down, turn your 6 into a 4 or something like that. And Heavy Leo is a surprisingly good boss monster. It's just it's expensive, and I just think some decks are going to absolutely scud it if it doesn't get... it's weird to me that Heavy Leo doesn't have blocker either. There's just lots of random issues I've got with the deck, but it can bottom deck cards, it can DP minus cards, it can de-digivolve cards. Electmon's an insane card, frankly. It has good things, it's just no quite fast enough or consistent enough yet. One more wave and it'll be really good competitively.
I think the coolest thing
is one more wave.
Sorry. Yeah, 100%. No, it's okay. I think one of the coolest things that it's got going for it is I can't remember who said it, but just the fact that you can go from, you know, like even if you like raise up your 4, whether it's Leomon or the other one, if it's is it Lyomon or whatever, and you're swinging, you're getting to go into your 5 for 1 less. So if you've been lucky enough to start at either 3 or 2, you're still keeping turn. It evils into your 5. It goes in. Quite frankly, you don't care if it dies. You actually kind of want it to die because your sources are going to pop off. You're either going to minus 4k something and possibly kill a floodgate or whatever, or you're going to de-digivolve something twice, which is honestly just ridiculous. And then the Fortitude's going to bring the thing back and end your turn by evoing into your Heavy Leomon and de-digivolving again. And then if he dies, he comes back. It's like, I think speed-wise it's probably okay, but I think it's consistency that's the issue, like you said. If it just has slightly more, but I mean, honestly, anytime I've played against it, people have like not had a problem finding their pieces. Maybe they're just cheating bastards, I don't know, but
Higher old, mate.
yeah,
Higher
100%. Leopardmon X kind of goes a bit big in it as well if you're wanting just like extra tech, because then you can cheat out your smaller guys slightly less and go a bit wider. Yeah, totally. Which is just Leopard X is. I slept on that card 100%.
Card, mate.
Yeah,
It is really.
Slept on it mega.
Nicer.
Nicer. Moving on now to the lovely, I hate this deck, Hunters. What do we think of what most people consider the best deck to come out of the cross
Darren back on
decks?
for his
And I
opinion
know
on
it's
this
not
one.
cross.
I mean, obviously we're out of finals meta, but he took it to finals and done really well with it. But he's probably the best topping Hunters player in recent history. So if you're listening to this, Darren, sorry, but I don't think this is getting placed particularly high. It's tier 2.
I think it's middle.
It's the best of the save decks.
Tier 2, low to middling at best.
It is the best of the save decks. It's the problem with Hunters is that it is Death Exmon bait, and we are back into people playing Death Exmon again, which automatically just lowers it down a little bit. Yeah, I mean...
Yeah. I'm thinking just round tier's alright.
Who's playing this bloody deck is my question. I'm still surprised Darren...
He's still on it,
No, he's no, is he?
I haven't seen Darren in a while.
It's because he's...
Man, I have that. It's because he's
but it's also because he's minted the entire thing out for fuck knows how much money and has to be playing it.
Yeah, perhaps. I mean, I don't know what he's actually doing right now. I've not spoke to Darren in a wee while, but it's to be honest, like two to me is just it's a reasonable deck. I don't really know why you would play Hunters over anything else, to be honest, right now. But then I was saying that in BT14 and Darren get 8th at finals with it, so I don't know, man. I'm surprised. I'm surprised Darren did so well with it at that point. So I didn't think it was a very powerful deck.
It doesn't matter how good the deck is. If you're a shit pilot, you're not going to do well. He's a really good player, so like he'd probably do well with fucking Diarbitmon if we gave him the chance.
I think that's a wee stretch, but
it is a
that's a big stretch. That is a big stretch.
But I don't think we need to go into too much detail on it. I think where it is in tier 2 is probably about right.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think Alpha just slightly edges it based on format. That's about it.
Yeah,
bro,
Edge me.
Raise me,
edge me.
That'll do me. That'll do. Move on to insect.
Let's move on to the bin.
No,
insects go.
No.
Yeah.
No.
It fucking is not.
Yes, it fucking is, man. It's not. It's really not bad, right? It is also a BT6 waiting room deck, right? But some of the support it got is very good. Motimon might be one of the greatest eggs to ever exist. Like, Motimon is ending your turn, an insect of yours can attack an opponent's Digimon. That is like basically blitz into a Digimon on every Digimon you've got in the deck. Herc is crazy big. He's unaffected by effects. He can be freaking giant, and he's a big annoying man. Izzy can redirect into Herc, and you can't out it with Digimon. It can be annoying. It can do stuff like it's definitely not the bin.
It's definitely the bin, mate. There's a massive problem this deck has.
You said it's not even a deck. It's definitely a deck.
Adam said it's not even a deck. I said this is straight for the bin.
Okay, sorry.
It's definitely
the
not
thing
a
is,
deck.
it's too slow. It's everything it does is one single stack, go up one at a time. You've got no acceleration. You've got maybe like one option card built for your deck. You've got one tamer built for your deck. Everything about this deck screams, where's my second
Hercules
wave?
Kabuterimon standing outside a game waiting for the midnight launch of Tyrant Kabuterimon. 100% in the bin.
See if you took this to a Terriermon starter
I'm
deck
not fucking
event,
talking
you could
about
win
a
this.
Terriermon.
Starter deck event!
There was people taking this to
I'm
Green
not-
Cup and winning.
How?
Yeah,
What?
because everyone else was playing
Dude,
fucking
mate, I'm not joking, there's
Gargomon,
been
man. That doesn't even matter.
And Mega Gargomon
Guys,
just gets second at
guys,
a regional, so it can't be that
here's the
bad.
thing, Adam.
Rabbitmon to the green event, it's tier
Mate,
1.5.
like, listen, all I'm hearing for both of you is I don't know what this deck does.
know what
It's
the
only
deck
had
does.
one
It's
wave
shite.
recently. It's in the bin.
Here's what I was going to say. What is the Green Cyclone event? It's a locals. It
Green
won
only.
the green only locals. It makes it
And
a
what's
locals
tier 3,
viable.
mate?
That's what I'm saying. It makes
Yes,
it
thank
locals
you.
viable. That's like the definition of locals viable.
No, nobody's taking this to regionals and doing well with it,
Yeah.
right? But it is like tier 3 is just decks that have things that they can do that are reasonably powerful. Like, but it's no good enough. It's no consistent. It's no fast
Right,
enough,
can we-
etc. So that's
The
reasonable.
other thing is, I forgot, it has an X antibody inheritable that's really good for the deck, right? Like, there's
Yes.
some form of level 5 X antibody for the deck that's inheritable, lets it restand after piercing or something. Which,
Aye, it's the stuff from.
Look,
You
it's a bit
can just
nicer.
run the old. You can
I'll
run the old
accept
Grandees
this.
Nut stuff.
Ah,
I'll
yeah,
accept
that's
this if
probably
we
it.
can just put fucking Amphimon back in the bin, please.
who's that?
No,
Who's
I
that?
kind of like that.
Nah, bro. Now, remember,
Right,
So,
anyway,
I think-
moving
I
on.
think
We're
the
talking too
problem
much
is-
about the shite.
I hate to give fucking Callum he's keeps here. We should have had a 2.5, and the break off of 2.5
No,
should have
we
been where
shouldn't.
Oryu sits.
You didn't want a
I know,
1.5,
I didn't want a
mate. It would have been a
1.5.
giant straight line of decks if
Oh, to be fair, see if you read it like that, you go 1, 2, 3, 4. It goes Lavaya, Nume, fucking Fanglong, Fenry. That is so far from what we've reached. That's definitely not the final total.
In
but
my mind, though, Magna is in tier 1.5 and it makes
Well,
it
you're
unbalanced.
wrong.
right?
in my mind, he's up there as well, but that's besides the point. Right. Something
okay, that's fine,
something that's
moving
an
on.
actual contender, probably not for tier 1.5, but for a high tier 2,
No.
we
Put him
have
in
our
the bin.
machine. He's back.
Right. I'll be real with you guys. I have not built this deck. This and Alphamon are like two of my favourite decks, and as soon as training came out, I was like, oh boy, I need to go back into the lab with these. But I actually don't think the support for Machine Dramon is that good, to be honest with you. I feel like the Supreme Connection is a card that encourages you to hard play Machine Dramon. I don't think hard play Machine Dramon based decks are good. I think the main win con is build a stack from raising, and then you start hard playing if they can somehow out the machine as like an emergency button. I don't think the deck's fast enough. I don't think the support speeds it up any. I actually think Marvin Jackson is
Sorry,
one of the
Miss
biggest
Jackson.
bait cards I've ever seen in my life. Like, it's like, oh yeah, my effect is I trash a card with machine to gain a memory. You don't draw one, you don't cycle like Analog Man. It doesn't actually bring you closer to your win con. People go, oh no, but Machine Dramon wants machines and cyborgs and it's been. Well, yes, but it actually doesn't want to drop them from its hand to have a tiny hand size to do it. Like, Machine Dramon already struggles with hand size before it makes the machine stack, so why the hell would you want to just trash bits when you need to use them to find stuff? A lot of the new support I don't actually think's that great. You might run one or two Ultimate Connection if you can fit it, but the deck's already so jammed to the bin, and people are like, oh, it's good. There's new 5s you can run. Aye, well, listen, there's so many 5s in this deck with different keywords that what new 5s do they have to print for it to make a significant difference? And the Cyber Dramon or the Mega Dramon is really good, but the issue is with Machine Dramon, if you're running anything more than 2 copies of a level 5, it hurts. it's like you see it too often. It's like saying I need to see this to win the game. Like a Metal Greymon at 3 or a Mega Dramon at 3 in the BT12 meta. So anyway, long story short, I think it's kind of like lower, middle, bottom of tier 2.
So my counterpoint at top
What the
recently.
fuck is lower, middle, bottom?
Yes, true.
Like
exactly.
that's all I was
Tier
waiting to say. Is this got 9th recently? So I find it hard to put it below, say, Wargrey, which didn't top 2 recently, but is still
It
decent.
did, mate. It topped at the same event.
Wait,
I think,
you're
question
joking me,
mark.
right? No, I didn't miss that.
It
did
topped in OS. Wargrey topped in OS as well, mate.
Not the event not the event I'm looking at.
Defo's topped in OS because I watched a deck profile from a guy who topped in OS with it.
Okay. Well, maybe it's a different event than. It's
No
just
clue,
top,
mate.
but-
But anyway, I'm not saying it's shite or anything. The guy who plays it's probably an animal. There was a guy who won Oceania finals with it at the start of 2023, so it's probably the same bloody guy, to be honest. He's probably came back again with Machine Dramon, and because he's a god, he's clapped cheeks. But it's just like it's painfully fucking slow, man. It needs like some wee card that gains you like a memory or two cheekily. And I don't mean like paying 2 Evo and gaining 1 back or something, because people were running Numamon and Tankmon unironically in this deck. So
Mate, this
yeah.
this poor boy also has the worst ever problem with Leviamon, where he can protect himself, but then the secondary effect attempts to delete him again because it just deletes the lowest, and he's usually the only fucker on board when he's played.
yeah.
So
Well, he can do it more than once per turn, so it's
yeah,
alright, to be honest.
you're losing
Not-
4 sources
Not how
on
it
Levia
works.
playing.
Not how it works.
No?
Doesn't work.
It gets
Doesn't work.
it is deleted,
Oh.
and it can't trigger its protection effect twice in the same instance, so it dies. Yar.
Wait, what? Oh, that's
So
even worse.
Leviamon's effect is instant, so it's delete the highest, then delete lowest. And because it's one instance, you can't trigger 2 answers of protection against one action of
So
deletion.
You
Do
can
you know what I mean?
You can,
So
that's
you can
fucking
absolutely
tragic.
trash the sources.
I
You can
don't get
protect
it, but I'll
yourself
say
once,
yes.
but you're still getting killed, basically.
Yeah, okay.
I don't get it, but I'll say
It
yes.
says when an effect tries to delete this, it's an effect trying to delete it twice.
Yeah, if it's the only thing on the field, then it's the same
Okay, that
target
bit-
for both
that-
effects.
That
So
very
the
least
one-
brings it down a bit.
Yeah, the one
This-
effect.
Bryce so mad
It's
he's
the
put it
same
below
with,
Beelzemon by 1.
Yeah, I know, but
Like,
look,
he's like, oh,
I've-
fucking hell, that's really changed my
Nah,
opinion.
bro.
Put it down
because
1.
I don't think it, like, at least against Numemon, like, oh no, you summoned a
That's-
bunch
I
more
don't know how
guys.
you
I've
can
got
That's
I
why
don't
analogs
want
on
Leviamon
them.
Leviamon is
either.
so good,
I've-
because it punishes big single stacks with protection, because it gets around protection effects, because it deletes things twice in one go.
Mate,
I swear to God, that is the most nerd glasses actually
Oh.
emoji shit I've heard in my life. But I will always say yes. and we'll
Cucumber,
move on.
glasses, notepad.
That's
Yes.
very explosion, grenade powder, the letter B emoji.
He'd exploding.
That's such a deep cut
actually.
for our group chat. Shout out the Glasgow scene. Right.
fucking hell. No. Right. Well, so are we happy with my placement? Do you want me to bump him down a few extra
No,
spaces?
Machine's
What's
fine
your-
where he is.
I feel like middle of tier 2 just
Fucking
sounds
put
right.
Grace Novamon tier
My only
2.
opinion is I hate playing against it.
Yeah, I hate the
It
deck.
is cancer, man. I love it, but it is a
look,
cancer
it's
deck.
who's
Let's
horrible.
go.
next? It's
Right.
Mirage Galgamon that won our EU finals and then
Slap him into tier
disappeared
2.
off the
Sleeping at
face of the
decks.
earth again.
Speaking of decks, I hate.
Yeah,
Right into tier 2. Bro, they took this. People were like, I'm taking this guy to finals, and he gets scudded. Because if he smacks 1 bomb in the stack, he's
What?
dead. And cunts are running bombs up the wazoo now. Bloody
What are you
Levia's
on?
running like 6 bombas. Beelzemon's running that many bombas
What are
that
you
he
talking
swings
about?
into
It
it
won
and dies
finals?
again.
Oh, right, okay.
No, finals, mate. I
Oh,
don't mean
my
finals,
mistake,
I mean
my
final.
mistake. Of course.
he means
That-
worlds.
that-
He means worlds.
Sorry, bro. I mean
Alright,
world
checks out,
finals,
checks out.
not finals.
Table,
Right.
Bro, don't be
Table
daft. I don't mean
watch
finals. I
shelf
mean
emoji.
finals.
So the mirage that is this thing still being decent. Do we think
I'd say it's still
roughly
higher
around
than
here?
Gallant.
Aye,
See,
Gallant's 1-5
No,
though, bro. It can't
my-
be higher than Gallant.
see. So in my tier list, Gallant's fucking down here, but you have
I'd
popped
say,
him up
I'd say
here.
Mirage
So
is still better than Gallant. It's probably better than Magna as well.
No.
What? No,
Nah,
mate.
he's 1-5.
Bro,
Mirage Galgamon goes
I-
boing, and then there goes your Magnamon.
Man, well, the only thing that Magnamon's got against it is you probably don't have a hand size greater than like 5 for a
Yeah,
lot of
that's
the time,
true.
right? Because you're
They
so
can't-
fast that you're
They
like
can't make you
burning
draw
through
enough
cards.
cards.
Yeah,
Well, here's the other thing as well about Magna, right? It may lose to Mirage, but I think Magna's got a better matchup into Numemon and Levia.
very true.
Right, is this
Yeah,
getting pumped up next to our
goes up.
blue boy himself?
Aye, stick it there, that's
Aye.
fine,
Back,
mate. Crack
back.
on.
Gallon, you're way
on.
too fucking high. And the more I look at it, the more Bloom looks too high as well.
Bryce, you're still stuck in EX2 though, where you're like Garlandmon forever tier
Right,
2.
My
can-
brother in Christ, when he wins an
can
event,
skip
I'll
this.
shut up about it.
can-
He's
right,
just
It's
won
better
one!
than my Otismon.
straight in the bin.
That can go
No,
to
it can't.
bot my tier 3, man.
Look,
Okay.
mate,
It's pure
this- so-
copium that it's any
out-
good. Like,
Out of pure spite, Bandai decided to print not only the highest cost level 5 ace for my Otismon, but make it completely pointless because all it does is play a 3 cost tamer, which we already have other aces that do better effects, like play a 4 cost tamer. And they decided, oh, well, next set we'll give more Myotis support, but it has to delete its level 5, so your ace is
Yeah,
fucking
class,
useless.
Classic bin
Class,
class.
mate. What about Miss Barrier though? I can delete my ace in order to play the ace back again. You know, I can pay 4 to do that. I can pay 4 to play my 5 cost
cool.
ace
7
the bin.
memory.
and then delay when it's deleted. I can play the most mid-level 6 of all time.
My problem with my
Yeah.
Otismon support
I
is that they always print it specifically for Venom or specifically for Mallow. It's never both of them. If it was
Yes.
both of them, it would be good.
Interchangeable,
But Mallow
yeah.
my Otismon sucks. Venom my Otismon also sucks, and they just cannot get a theme to go along with it. They've just went ha ha pee pee poo poo. My Otismon's come back.
I think you're right, mate, because honestly, I love the
I love the
Mallow
Venom
Myotismon Yukio
Myotismon
deck,
deck.
right? But even... Yeah, so we're tomato. I actually think, like, if the BT15 wave was Mallow support, then it would be, like, reasonably alright. But, like we say, just because it's like, oh yes, you can play a Venom Myotismon and all the Venom Myotismons to ever exist are doggy doo-doo, then it's just like, what's the point? Like, the new Mallow Myotismon is actually, like, reasonable, but it costs 5, so if you can cheat it out, then you're like, yippee. But then they didn't get an on-play. And as Bryce says, the whole gimmick of the deck is popping your level 5 to play it, and you play it and it's not got an on-play, and you pop your
Yeah.
5 and you lose 3
Bin
memory.
time.
And it's
Sorry,
just,
my
oh,
Otismon.
Yeah,
what the fuck were they thinking?
right.
One of the most disappointing results I've had for support recently.
Before we do Omni Rush, let's just get the last bin tier card out of here.
whoa, listen.
Now, this is not bin tier, mate.
Absolutely not.
So we have, I'm going to tell the story. We have a lovely guy called Liam at our locals. He's Callum's mate. I knew him in Dundee as well. He was one of the highlights of locals in Dundee because he was one of the nicest people there. He has been playing this deck religiously. How many rounds has he won at locals recently, Callum?
He gets second at
Wait,
locals one
what?
time.
When was that?
At TT, he gets second at locals, and I was fuming because I was like, what the hell? I'm 2-1 and I lost in the finals, and I get 4th or some shit, and he gets second.
Phoenix Mon took second. Alright, that puts him up here.
It's honestly like, I don't know, maybe when you played him or when you were watching him, like, he wasn't quite as familiar with it, but this deck can actually do some really cool plays, man. Like, see with the Christie Garud and the Garud Ace. Do you know what? Actually, he's only recently just got a second Saber Dramon, and he's looking for the 3rd and 4th Garud Ace. So it's like, there's cool as hell plays you can do where it's like, okay, play my Christie. I've got Christie on the board, and I'm like, okay, I play the bird. The bird warps me into Garud. I play down a tamer. And there's like effects with Sora. It's like when you return a Digimon to hand, you can play a level 5 and stuff. So there's like cool wee loops, wee value loops you can do. You turn like a 3 into a 5 by returning a card to your hand, and then you just play it again. And then you get Sora effects and stuff. I think this is actually a deck to watch when they get the X support. Like, it's another one, like we were talking earlier on, where it's like the deck has never been good. It had a wave in 11 that was extremely mid, and now they've had one decent wave, and it's like, it needs the next good wave to fix the issues. And
Yeah.
it's actually, the X stuff really does fix the issues it has, and that's it doesn't actually really do very much unless the Digimon's deleted, and if it's deleted, then well, it's gone. So it's not really getting you much value. But the Phoenixmon X, if you don't know, turns your on deletions into end of attacks as well as on deletions, and it can trash security and stuff like that with on deletion and stuff as well. So it's surprisingly aggressive in the next set.
Yep.
I think it's very big. There's like a slept on option card that came out in BT15 as well. It's a 2 cost, and
Wins
you
of
basically
Love.
you play it. You can play 100%. You can play a red tamer card with a play cost of 4 or less from your hand, and then if you've got Sora in its name, you return a red card from your trash to the hand. So basically, you play 2, you pay 2, you place down the Sora. Now you've got Sora in play, so you're going to
See what
return
you've
a
done,
card
Bryce?
from your hand, and then Sora triggers. Like, it's good. It's fire. Like, deck
Adam.
is good, and it gets even better in BT16.
Adam,
Yeah,
did you
so
say
see
something
what
under
you've
that?
done. You're like, let's put this in the bin, and then suddenly it's in tier 3.
So, here's the thing. If it came next to winning at locals, I'm like, sure, that's locals viable. It's close enough. And fun fact, it has the most dedicated tamers of any archetype, as far as I can remember, having 3 specific tamers for just Phoenixmon. So,
Akiho, Christie,
Yeah, yeah.
Sora.
yep. So
Yeah.
it's fairly impressive that it gets that. The deck genuinely, like, it does so much for nothing. That's the only problem this deck has, is it does 101 plays for 1 rush guy. And it's just,
Well,
it
that's it.
needs
Like,
more
the
payoff.
payoff is just not there. The payoff's not there. The payoff comes next set when it's like, okay, end of attack, trash a security. Okay, delete me. Right, well, trash a security, play a guy that's going into that again next turn, mate, and I'm returning the boss monster you just deleted back to my hand.
Yeah. Right. I think that's enough said on Phoenix. Moving on to what's probably our next tier 2 deck, and I think I just keep hitting the mic, sorry people. We have Omnimon level 7 rush deck,
not-
basically. Or the
Not
remnants of
Rush.
Dark Masters.
Stop saying Rush. It's
It's not Rush,
It's-
okay, Zoo.
It's
Zoo.
Omni Mega
I keep
Zoo.
meaning to
It's
say
called
Zoo.
Omni
It's
Mega
like
Zoo.
I keep meaning to say Zoo.
It's Omni Turbo, mate.
So
Omni
I've been
Turbo.
playing this against my against everything that I usually play, but good old Ginge James went, Adam, this is your one chance to play Dark Masters, and I went, give me it, I need it. So basically, it's low-end Dark Masters. You've got all the level 5s that search for level 6s, because everything in your deck, bar 4 cards, is level 5 or higher. The 4 cards being Gotsumon can't play Digimon by effects, because you just bring that out, sit with it, get cards whenever your opponent's security's there. But basically, you're just slapping guys out, playing Dark Masters to your breeding area, and then using those Dark Masters to Digivolve into your Omnimons, specifically Omnimon Swart, to flood the field, and then you just start going into whatever the fuck you want, because you're going to get so much value, you're going to get so much card draw, because all you're playing are the level 5s that search you more level 6s. You play Omnimon Merciful Mode to deal with Fenrilugamon, something Renji can attest to. You play Zwart Defeat to deal with Hunters and other tamer heavy decks. You play one of the old X-Antibody Omnimons, because that can Digivolve over any other Omnimon to help the cycle going. And then your big boss monster is Omnimon Alter B, because you de-Digivolve and pop shit, and then you just start trashing fuck out their security, and eventually just win by controlling the board, because you've got a level 7 out turn 2, and they're going to really, really struggle against it. The deck itself suffers from, if they kill your level 5 or 6 before you can really set anything up, or if you don't see the Dark Masters that you need, because you do see Metal Seedramon, which doesn't evolve into anything except Merciful Mode, which then trashes itself, so you can't go into another Omnimon. And it's also got the one-off of Apocalypse, because you're eventually going to have some Dark Masters in your bin that you just slap out Apocalypse and just start milling fuck out them, and you're basically saying, look, you either deal with the Omnimons that I have on my field, or you deal with this Apocalypse that's going to start milling you. You can't do both, because nothing deletes level 7s for free, basically. And it's really, really strong. I've been enjoying playing it, so I'd say it's middle of tier 2 at the lowest currently.
You two
So-
owed me so hard that night. Like I think it was my only loss that night. and I got two, like we got paired together, and I was just like, I'm probably scooping, and I got
Yeah,
2-0'd so hard I couldn't. My brain couldn't even get to the scooping part
You
of
held
my
Lugard 3
process.
times and started filling your bin, and I immediately merciful moded you and put them all back in your deck.
Just sent it
And
all
then
back.
you
I was
done it
having such a
again, and
bad
then
day.
I done another merciful mode, and I was like, "This is not going well for you, mate." You did.
It really tested our friendship.
Merciful mode over merciful mode is insane, by the way.
Yeah, it's got its weaknesses. I mean, I tied against Gallant because Gallant just relies on just going doing whatever it wants, but it's still a really, really strong deck.
Yeah. So
It's also not done anything, by the way.
Yeah,
I would
that-
like
that's
to
my
point
It's
out.
not
problem
done
with this
anything,
is-
but it's not.
I don't.
There's not a lot of it's not well known, really.
yeah.
Well, I'll be honest, man. I have heard a lot of people talking about this. Like, you were like, "Oh, I've got something spicy brewing," and I was like, "Is it this?" And you were like, "No, it's Dark Masters Omnizu," and I was like, "All right, it sounds like the Deva
There is
Omnizu
Deva
I've been
Omnizu
hearing
as
a lot
well.
about." But there's been a lot of people talking about this, and I don't know if it's just kind of came up as like "Oh, this is a funny deck you can play," sort of thing. I don't know where it's came from or why, because I have genuinely heard about this deck so much. Like, it's just been doing the rounds, and
Like, I don't
know why. I don't know why. It feels like something that it should have like topped a tournament or something, and then loads of people are trying to like build it
I
and
don't
change
think
it
it's
because the
doing
idea is a
anything
thing now.
major.
But
it
I
did.
don't think it's ever gonna be tier 1 or tier 1.5. It's far too random for that. But I'd say it sits probably below
Random
Bloomlord, but above Beelzemon.
I'd say that's too
I
high.
think that's fucking
Beelzemon's done
insane
stuff
cope.
this set, mate. He's
This
top
deck
Dan
has
event,
literally
which
come
is more
out
than we
2
can say
weeks
for
ago,
Omni.
mind.
Actually, this
This has
event
been in
topped in Japan quite
I'm
a
not
while
talking about
back
Japanese
after
meta.
the
This
first
isn't
Apocalypse
Japanese
ban.
meta tier list.
Yeah, I know, but this is slightly before it, which is where the idea for the deck, I believe, actually originated from, was this deck in Japan. Can we make it work in our set? And
Bizarre, mate. I don't
without
know.
the result, I don't feel like it beats BLZ. I can putting it above Machine doesn't feel as bad,
I don't think.
but
I just don't understand how it's fast. Like, see, especially without the Devas, man, I don't get, because the whole idea is like, right, I've got the Deva engine to turbo out level 5s to ace with, and then
No.
I don't have to pay the memory cost for the ace, and then I get to the
but
Omni
then
quicker.
the ace will die 100%. Like you do play 2 Ebonwimon for the sus no unsus thing. That I've found
Sussy bastard.
maybe it's just because I hate Devas, but I'm gonna ignore that. But the Dark Masters version's more consistent because you get a level 6 in your breeding area that is not touchable. Your opponent can't do fucking anything to it. Then you bring it out. If you've got the strategic brain cell in your head that tells you to play the correct one, you then swing with it, bounce something, skedaddle it back to their hand, delete unsus, probably not die in security, evolve into
Aye,
Omni.
I get the payoff, mate. I do get the payoff. My question is, like, I think I'm missing something here. How do you get the Dark Masters
Level-
into your,
the level
into your,
5.
these?
oh, when you search, you
Level
can
5.
just place one in.
So the level 5s, I'm reading one now. Delete one of your Digimon.
Yeah, so you
So you
hardcast
delete
level,
the level
5,
fives,
search
right?
2, delete level
And then-
5s, level 6
okay,
goes
fair
into
enough.
raising.
Fair enough. Okay.
And then
I'm down
right,
to put it
yeah,
in
so
bottom
what
of
you
tier
do is
2 instead
you,
of tier 3.
you hardcast Lady Devi or what's the black one called? Gigadramon. Delete it, play either a machine or a pied into your breeding area. Next turn, push up, swing if you need to, but probably don't evolve into Zwart, mill 3, and then play back the Giga or Lady Devi you've just deleted. Maybe you get another one from the mill that you've just done as well, and then you delete one of them. Put another Dark Master into your breeding area. You've still got the Zwart out that you can then start evoing on next turn, and it's a constant loop basically.
All I'm hearing, mate, was when you were talking about Devas, you were going, "You're giving me 7, mate," but I'm hearing it's sexy and
difference
cool when
being,
I do it.
don't disagree. It's a very strong point. The difference is, I'm not losing 4 memory when my Omni dies.
I bet you're no arse, mate, because Fangman goes hard.
No,
Right, bottom of
middle
tier
of
2,
tier
move
2.
on.
I mean,
I'm giving this one to Renji. Renji.
What my two
Right.
picks?
So my wee counter argument to that is like whenever, like, okay, so here's the trade off between that and Devas. It's like play like I mean I don't unless you're an idiot or you've mulliganed and then you're suffering from the Terriermon draws. If you're hard playing your 7 turn 1 and it's not hatch an egg and play my option card or play Analog Youth or something, right? Then like either the deck needs to go back into the kitchen or you're just having a bad time. I don't think you're ever giving someone from 0 to 7, right? You're usually playing from back there. So they're both probably 6 and a half a dozen with what they can do, right? In that regard. However, like the argument for when the ace is dying, the ace is also going to pop something on your opponent's side of the field. So you lose 4 memory, yeah, cool, whatever, but you're also getting rid of a threat on their side. Omnimon's not doing that, or someone's not doing that if they die, right? Unless it's like Sport Defeat. But the trade-off from that is like in Dark Masters, a lot of your guys are way more disposable, which I suppose they can be in Final, but you kind of want them to stick around a little bit more on the board. But the thing is that I think that all of the aces, it's essentially what you're essentially doing with this deck is making all of the reasons why Apocalypse got banned in the fucking first place is what you're trying to fit into this, right? So it does have like the Mega Zoo bias, but I think no one's taking it to an event because there's way there's way more interesting and consistent like risks that you can take on any of these other decks that this one would just be like it's slightly a bit more of a gimmick. The difference is that Fanglong is like your get out of jail card at the end that gives minus 16 to minus 20 on the board possibly every turn, and then even if you out it, you've probably got 3 more sitting in the wings that you can just play your option card for 3, bring them out.
Saying, though, is that in my testing, the Omni deck bodies Fanglongmon and it bodies Fenrilugamon as well.
Yeah, like, but you're saying everything bodies Fanglongmon.
If I'm being serious,
I mean, like I had a really bad time against.
I think it could beat Fanglongmon just because Merciful Mode goes crazy. If you're turboing at Merciful Mode, that's really detrimental to Fanglong, right? But my question is, like, I mean, the thing I would address is you were talking about how, like, the Devas die and then, or not the Devas, the Sovereigns die and then, like, they lose 4 memory. But I swear to God, that deck doesn't even give a shit about the memory counter. It's genuinely like, well, I just stop you doing things and then I play Fanglongmon, I win the game. But because the Devas are all, like Renji says, they're all designed so that, the Sovereigns even, I keep fucking getting mixed up. The Sovereigns all have, like, if it gets deleted, then there's, like, a backup plan for it, right? I think that the Dark Masters are all actually ass, like, as cards. But the Omnis, like, if you can turbo into Omnis, it is powerful, but I don't know if that's how viable that is.
I'd also like to point out that if your Sovereigns die, you're also probably tapping anywhere from 2 to 4 Analog Youths to try and circumvent the overflow.
This is true. I think it's I think this is a quirked up meme deck with a source that has some potential just because the Omnis are powerful. If you can turbo Omnis, that's pretty cool. I think putting it above a real deck like Alphamon or D-Brigade or Metal Garurumon or Hunters or something that's it's probably around the Leomon territory, in it, right? Reasonably.
Right.
Like
here's what I'm going to say. Renji, pick 2 cards for me to place this in between. Because we're going to be here for the next 15 minutes if I don't say
Yeah,
this.
for sure. Like I think it is competitively viable. I think people just don't want to take a risk on it. I would put it between Melga and Heavy Leomon. I just think that like and this is going to sound like a sarcastic compliment and it's not, but like I reckon Adam does well with the deck because like Adam's a good player and it's the type of deck that you enjoy playing. Do you know what I mean? Like you were stoked for Apocalypse, you like that sort of vibe. And this is like Apocalypse like on steroids.
Yeah, that's fair.
Do you know what I mean? Like it's pulling that big heavy zoo and I think that you're good with it. And I think that because you've got such a good knowledge of comp scene, you know how to like play into those things. Do you know what I mean? And to be honest, like I don't think you can really brick that hard with this deck. The only thing that you're like, holy fuck, I wish I saw this, is if you're Gotsumon against something like Fenry or something that spits them out. So I think that's my argument for it. I think most people playing this going to a tournament would probably have a bad time.
What does I don't even know what the deck list looks like, right? But are you not playing like
Yeah, it's
over
like
10
14
Omnimon or something
There's
like
about
that?
7 or something. Oh, really? Is it that much?
Like,
Yeah,
man,
if
mate, that's what I'm saying. Like, is I mean, how many dark? I don't know. It just seems weird, man. Like, how many Dark Masters are there? How many of the Dark Master feeders
Like,
are you
I do
playing? I
have
don't
ways
know, man. It just seems
to.
crazy.
So you're playing.
I would say this is
Uh,
one thing I'll say while you're working that out, Adam, as well, is I feel like we're going right. See at our locals, man. This thing went crazy.
yeah.
That's tier 3, mate.
He's no wrong.
Yeah, 100%.
Right, I need to push us on because we're hitting 3 hours here and I'm fucking dying. So
I'm
we're
having a
gonna
great time.
This isn't
Thanks for
serious.
thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, we
Let's go,
We
Renji. You're in for
appreciate
one of the
having you.
hardest pods of them
Aye,
all.
the
I'm
tier
genuinely
lists
having a
always
blast.
go long. I think that's
Yeah.
the reason we stopped doing them for a while, but
Nah, I'm good for it.
we have to. Right, this next one, I don't even need to discuss this. This is either
Oh,
in
it's
front
huge.
of
It's
Fang
1-5 somewhere.
It-
Absolutely.
It's
huge.
probably here just on
What is it? I
consistency's
looked
basis of Fanglon's only starting.
oh yeah, 1.5.
Red hybrid.
It's
Red hybrid.
It's the red hybrid. It's the highest in
Shag
1.5,
spooky.
almost definitely.
Yeah,
It's
I agree.
it's just too consistent for us to say otherwise right now.
I would
could be tier
almost
1.
say it's tier 1.
I agree.
I'd put it at the
It's
bottom
like,
of tier 1.
I personally think it doesn't quite transcend 1, but I think it's like you could make an argument for it, right? Like, I think it's just carves a good
I
niche
mean,
because it shags
It doesn't.
Oh my.
Numemon and it's fast, so it's like
It beats
fast
Numemon,
deck is never going to be
and it
bad,
can
right?
beat Leviamon, and it does not play Digimon by effects ever.
It does, mate.
You're not
The
wrong
level
there, that's
4s
true.
play Flamemons by effect.
Yeah.
But you can play around that.
Aye.
It's not a quintessential game
I'd be
plan of
tempted
Red
to
Hybrid
put
to
that
play
in
the
bottom of
Flamemons
tier
out.
one
It's just
then.
like a nice wee thing it does.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I would say it's bottom tier 1 because it doesn't, apart from the Flamemon thing, it doesn't really suffer against any sort of floodgate, and you can work around, like if you were red hybrid against Leviamon, you can just choose to not trigger those effects and still have a really good time. So like, because a lot of the other like within that same stack, it's like, yeah, you might not be able to play back your Flamemon, but you're probably recycling your tamer.
And the
So then,
tamer's
like,
not a Digimon,
what's-
so you can get around that.
Do you know
Yep.
this is true? One thing I will say, guys, I didn't. So I was like, Leviamon punishes you for playing things by effects. This is very true. The other thing which I think makes Levia like the clear best deck is the fact that its payoffs for you playing things by effect are so ridiculous, but it literally just forces you to do it anyway. So it's not even like, oh, I don't play things by effect so I can beat it, because if you've got 1-3 in the trash, it's like,
True.
hi, play your 3, mate. You have to play your 3. You're like, I don't want to. No, fucking play your 3, mate. So yeah, I don't know. That's just something I wanted to add in. I don't think that necessarily means that Red Hybrid isn't quite that high.
So
Yeah, no, I
the
agree.
one-
That's a
You
good
guys
point.
are sold on it, so
The one thing that's making me like kind of waver on it being 1.5 is like it had
It's also
massive
won
turnout
multiple premier
until this
events.
set. Yeah, but if you look at like top 16 cuts, the pie chart share is massive Levy, then Numi, then random. It's never then Emperor Grey. Sometimes it's then Emperor Grey, but usually it's then Emperor Grey or Fanglong or Fenrir, and that's what's making me like move round it. Plus the fact in my like, the devas fuck this deck up. Like, because
yeah, they do.
you go, oh, swing with my hybrid, devas go, oh, get him to fuck me. Like, this deck
There
doesn't
is-
deal with it.
The one thing I would say is about the Deva matchup, right, is we've spoke about it before. It's like they're just trying. The Devas are just there to like slow you down, almost distract you from when the Fanglong drops and he scuds you, right? But they can out Fanglong by swinging into it with an Emperor Grey, and on the flip side of it as well, they can almost, once they get set up, they can Emperor Grey pop the 5 every turn, or Emperor Grey pop the 6 every turn if they've blast evoed.
Also-
So I actually think it does have probably come out a
Also,
good
if
matchup.
we're looking
into-
at like recent
Devas.
results and shit, apart from the LATAM regionals, Red Hybrid is placed above Numemon in every other event. So if anything, it's better than Numemon. So it's Defo's tier 1. I'm not saying it should be above Numemon. I'm just saying it's Defo's tier 1.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think this one's a LATAM event. Where was it?
I'm not saying it's placed.
Court. Yeah, there
Just
was.
slap it at the back.
I was going to say, I'm looking at a
core.
Core TCG one where Numimon's the highest cut, and that was this month. So, but I'm fine with it being in tier 1.
Red Hybrid won that one.
It's all. I think
Red
Dev is
Hybrid,
pushing it.
Yeah.
Did it win that? Okay, fair enough. It won that one, but it wasn't. It was not the chart. Right. Anyway, moving on. Rosemon. It's basically just Bloomlord with some extra
But
spices.
I don't know. I don't know why. I don't know why Rosemont X is on there, because it's not. It's good, but it doesn't work with burst mode.
It's to signify a Rosemon specific deck. I think Rosemon X is actually a crazy boss monster, honestly. But again, it's like literally, I don't think anyone has done anything with Rosemon burst mode since it came out. Really, like I was getting absolutely scudded at locals by Rosemon every single time I placed it because it just shagged Alphamon that bad. It can do some nutty things, and it does just spit wee men onto the board, but it always just feels like instead of being fast at killing you, it can control your board and be really annoying. So I don't know. It's probably I think you're even maybe struggling to stick it in tier 2, but I would say that also right.
The thing is,
the
on you go.
A big shout out for the artwork on it. Not specifically Rosemont X, but just the entire line in that artwork by who is it? It's Perosi. It's some of the best artwork you've seen on a card. It's so vibrant. It's real nice. Basically from Palmon, Togemon, the level 5, and then Rosemont X.
So the thing is, like when I played against Rosemon Burst mode, it just felt like Bloomlord with a slightly less consistent win condition. It didn't feel like it was actually that much worse, which is why I'm struggling to put it much lower than this.
The thing is now that might put it over the edge is all the X antibody cards. It's got a full Palmon X antibody line. Palmon X is a fucking crazy card, man.
Palmon X is great.
I think Rosemon X could be crazy, and Lilymon X is kind of bonkers as well. But yeah, I don't know. It's yet to be tested, and considering the lack of Bloom representation, I would say it's like not likely to really see much action. I'd be surprised if it gets one top 16 by the end of the format, honestly.
Yeah, I think it's hard to compare because like Cop's saying, Bloom's just not in it. Personally, I think it probably has a better time in the meta because you don't have to go as wide for it to do well. Like you're probably never going with more than 2 stacks. And just to kind of like address Adam's thing about like the X antibody not working with the burst mode, you almost don't want to treat the level 7 like in the burst thing anymore. You actually just want to deal with it as like a level 6, as a level 7, because evoing for 5 is not a big deal when you've got probably 3 or 4 tamers that you can suspend to gain a memory back, plus you probably have 2 or 3 inheritables that when this Digimon evos, if you have a green tamer, reduce the cost by 1. So like I don't think I've burst moded, like burst evoed into the burst mode like more than like 2-3 times since I was playing it. I just have the deck like sitting
I was getting freaking looped by the burst mode. I think it was Brendan that was playing it ages ago, and I was getting fucking looped by this guy, man. He was going, hey, burst mode, return Yoshino, and then he's going, hey, Evo, and what is it? I can't even remember the Digimon's name, man. I think it's Sunflow's level 5 or something.
Lila?
That plays Yoshino, and he's going to
Lila, man.
Yeah, he's going, haha, Lilamon, play it again, and I'm going, you piece, fucking stop this, man. You're meant to be paying a price to do that. But yeah, it's got potential. I don't think we can talk about it too much more because none of us really know that much about it, and it's not got any statistics to go on. So
yeah,
I think it's copium to put it above Metal Gururumon probably, but
I don't know, man, because it's another one of the unsolved decks. Maybe more copium to put it above Hunters, but like both it and Metal Garuda are unsolved. Metal Garuda probably has more potential. I'll give you that. All right. Let's move on to Adam's old favourite.
I never
played Royal Knights. Deck. I know you just complained about the
you've
format.
Got one of everyone.
I do, and
you've got one of everyone framed on the wall,
admit.
Adam.
Yeah.
No.
Top of tier 3.
That down a bit.
Too slow.
Put that down a little
Doesn't
bit.
need anything into too many decks.
I am thinking down.
Hard loses to Numemon,
Honestly,
hard
it's
loses to Leviathan.
it's not beating. It's beating Blackwell.
Yes.
That much I'm certain of. But even fucking heavy Leomon might just be too much for it because it's a constant field presence that they're going to struggle to get off the field. Which
It's just, man,
not
it's
good
like,
for
it's
it.
just too slow. Like, it has to go so long to do shit.
No, but
and
the thing
I don't know. If you can pop their
the thing
guys,
is with
it's
Royal
really
Knights
not a
is
hard
that as soon as
matchup.
Lugamon came out, Royal Knights fell off because they go. You go up into Fenrir, you get a couple of Royal Knights under while they're doing that. Fenrir then sits there, and you go play Royal Knight, and they go delete swing again. You go play Royal Knight, they go delete swing again, and then that's it.
mate, even if we're not talking about that, your Omnimon Zoo deck, they go play a Royal Knight, you go okay, play a level 5, and then from then on you're going play an
No, all I
Omnimon
do
every
is
turn, which
with,
is
I just sit with
their
Paimon
win
and I
condition.
go swing delete unsus, swing delete unsussed, swing delete unsussed.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I mean. If you can out the knights that come down, it's
Yeah.
actually so fucking free. It's not even funny.
Everything above it has a
Um,
way to not easily, but fairly consistently out a knight, except maybe hunters.
Tuck me.
Tuck me under what? There's only one knight on the board.
Under Marcus, mate. Under Marcus, you had to play Marcus to out one of my threes.
Oh, of course. Right, that's a quick, simple fix. Right, okay. Adam Krob, you'll hate me for this. Set 1.5. It has to be.
It is 1-5 at one finals.
Yeah, it won Worlds. Even if it doesn't top the rest of this set,
Don't make me-
it won this format.
Honestly, I'm not even gonna lie. See, unless the top decks of the format trash security, I think
Guys,
it could
see
be
if you just put
1-5
it in
every
1.5
format
and
forever
don't make me
until
talk
they hit
about
it.
it, I'll accept it.
Renji, do you want to talk about it?
I don't really have anything to say. I also hate playing against it. I don't think
Everyone
I'll ever
hates
play
playing
it. That's
against
fine.
locals. You
Fine.
can't deny it's an actual competitive deck, but if you bring it to locals, you're getting put down the toilet.
Do you know what I will say
have
about it
no
though?
problem with this deck.
You know what I will say about it though. I don't agree that the deck and the player got as much hate following the win as it did. I think that's just
yeah,
like quite
no.
cringe, and I just think that the people that were spouting
Yeah,
everything
yeah,
online
but-
just need to like get a grip. Like it's literally a deck made with cards in the game. I agree that it does abuse a mechanic within the
It
game that
abuses
is
the
already
spirit of the
like
game.
a bit of an unfair
It's
RNG.
the worst mechanic in the game.
Yeah, I
people hate it so
get
much.
that, but it's not completely untouchable. I still think you need to be. It's not like people can just come in, pick up SetCon, go into a tournament and do well. You need to have great knowledge about the game. You need to have good like game sense in general, but you also need to understand the meta. You need to know what you should be playing and when to not get caught like off guard within decks. So I think that there probably goes more with like people like head empty SetCon. It's like it's possibly like a bit of the opposite because I've still seen people hard lose with SetCon. So
I love you, Renji, because that is what I said last week, is that the deck clearly has some element of skill. Otherwise,
Yeah.
it wouldn't be topping here and never topping otherwise.
I
People
100%.
can't win with a
I
deck
still
without
say
skill.
deck
It's that
brain
simple.
dead. It does take skill, but it is also brain dead. But regardless of whoever's opinions on the deck, if you're geeing the winner of the fucking World Championships, calling him shite because he's playing SetCon, get a grip of yourself. He's better than all of us.
But Adam, my favourite wee dinosaur, didn't win.
True.
Damn, true story, bro.
what was
I'm in the middle, by the way. I think SetCon is like, I think it's overstated how hard it is to play, but also I don't think any deck, frankly, is like, brain dead to a win.
no? I don't think
it's
I don't think it's
the
difficult.
hardest deck in the game. I just think it takes more skill than people grant it, because no one we know wins with SetCon. We've seen people bring it to locals. Nobody wins.
I'll
with
bring it to locals.
It's that simple.
I think, honestly, half of the skill with SetCon is making a build that fits the meta and tailoring it to things, because people will be like, I'm putting in Tactical Retreat or something, and I'm like, bro, I don't know if that's the play. Maybe it's good, maybe it's not, I don't know. But people just, like, there's so many different cards that, like, fuck around with your security and, like, how many bombs, what bombs do you play, what revolves around it, how do you actually win the game and stuff. Like, it is hard to build the deck.
Yep. Anyway,
Yeah.
Aye, cool.
moving on to what's probably
My baby.
our last
My
1.5
baby.
deck. If even that.
This deck hates
Right.
you so much, though, man.
So
Like,
It loves you,
So-
Renji.
so-
Fucking
Yeah,
hell,
absolutely
I've
does.
felt that in person.
I know you enjoy it as well, but as the resident Shine enjoyer, the reason that I do not do so well with this deck as when I used to is because it's not an optimal build for me. I play the Patamons because I like my little funny guy going into a level 4. I play with a yellow base instead of the draw one. It misses a lot of draw power. If I want to play this deck at peak consistency and strength, it is 1.5 every day of the week. If I'm playing it the way I'm playing it, it's in the bin.
Yeah, my
Yeah,
build was great. I went like,
People have moved on to yellow base, by the way, Adam,
Yeah,
to
like,
fight Numamon threat.
It's good. It's getting more alt arts, which I'm all for. I've got 3 out of 4 judge stamped Agumon. Very happy with that. I'm gonna keep minting out the deck, and I'm gonna keep playing
Delicious.
it. I do enjoy it. Like it's either at the top of tier 2 or probably the middle of tier 1.5.
I don't know, man. I mean, I
would-
feel like Fenry can come down. I feel like that's more realistic. Is that
So Shine I mean, see when we're talking about is it at the top yet? There's not really been that many.
I mean, it
tournaments
won
to say
LATAM
if it's in the
finals.
top or not, right? But
Yes,
did that?
did win something.
that doesn't
Mate, but
matter. That doesn't
LATAM
matter.
has the highest percentage chance of a Shine winning. It is like if you speak to a LATAM player, there's a
But it's
50%
still won
chance
it.
he's playing bloody Shine Greymon because he's got the country's frickin' flag on his body. It would be like if they made Scotlandumon, who was like blue and white with a big cross down his neck.
Bro,
Body,
what
I'd
do
be
you
playing
think-
that shit
What do
every
you think
time.
Plesionomon is?
Oh wait, All Force?
Lexiomon?
He's white, mate.
Aye, but it's Loch Ness Monster, bro.
He's the
Where's
Loch
your
Ness
fish
monster.
stick?
This is true.
Aye, that's the real reason we want good support for him.
Shine scuds. It scuds.
No me.
Numamon, right? I think it does really scud Numamon bad. I think it's also one of these decks where it's like you high roll and your opponent's sitting there going, well, what the fuck did I supposed to do about that? It's not had many results right now. It's had like one top all format. Again, it's not been a very long format. I do think people maybe think like new deck good sort of syndrome with this. They're like, I played the shit out of this in BT13 and sweated my balls off. I can't be arsed with it anymore, perhaps. I mean, I personally feel like I would be a bit harsher on some of the decks here. Like, I think I would put Shine top of 2, and I think I'd put Lugamon high 2 as well, close to the top of 2. But, I mean, I'll not fight
Nah,
you too
look,
much
it's still
on it.
1.5 for
It's
sure.
it's pretty nuts.
I feel like see when you go to say look at a pie chart. I know there's not been too many events, but you look at a pie chart, you see these top 3 decks. Then, ignoring Setcon because it actually hasn't been topping too often, you see Fanglong, Shine Grey, or Fenry. They're always there. That's the way I see it when you're looking at a topping chart. Then you might see a Mirage. The fact Gallant's this high up fucking annoys me, and Bloomlord's starting to as well. You might see a BLZ. A machine has made it up there recently, and then the rest of these are more so us thinking these are realistically capable of topping, except maybe these bottom 3 are a bit high.
Also, Adam, I've looked at, didn't he win
what about-
LATAM, by the way?
What one LATAM?
Are you
I knew
sure?
Bussy won LATAM. Yeah. Unless you're talking about BT14 or EX6 maybe.
So there's one.
LATAM
Shine-
finals,
Shine Grey got
Shine
all-
Grey first
there is
place.
a
What are you on about,
LATAM.
mate?
Mate,
Yeah,
that's BT14.
It's still
like the
one
Ulti Cup.
BT14.
That's
It's still one
That's not
finals.
we're not doing
I
14.
can't make it be
Nah,
a
bro.
different format.
okay, but that's 2 formats old. That makes it 2
Bro,
formats
Blackmore won
old.
finals in Europe in 23, mate.
Right. By that logic,
that to
there
tier
was
2.
Why
actually
is
a
Marcus
Latam
in
regional
this shit?
recently that was won by Mirage, not by fucking
Marcus
Shine.
Hybrid? What the
I mean, does he? I don't know. I feel like we'll leave him up there for old time's sake. Also because the few events that have happened, I keep seeing his skull. in
I'll
these
bring him back.
fucking
That's
charts.
but Bryce, I looked at this, mate, because I looked at this, Bryce, because I was like, hold on a minute here. There's 2 ones that have Marcus as the picture, and it's Marcus Hybrid.
Is it
not Shine.
wait,
There's
is that
one
Marcus
top.
Hybrid?
Yes.
Oh,
if you don't
okay.
see Shine Grey's head, it's
Yeah.
no
Right, that-
Shine Grey, it's
Right,
Marcus
okay,
Hybrid.
that's my mistake then. I
It's
thought
this
that
weird
was
yellow thing in it.
Yeah, I need,
Right,
I
you
need
can
to pull him down
fucking
one
you
then,
can get
'cause
to
that's-
fuck if Magnumon
Also,
sitting
one of the
in first place there though. Well, apart from
this is-
well,
Mate, Magnamons has more
Shangri
props, I'm sorry to say.
Shags Magnumon. The entire deck is deleted. 100%. Oh, you.
Nah, mate.
Oh, cool.
What was... Nah, mate. I use the golden
Oh, cool,
egg, mate.
Magnamon's
Canopy
dead.
DP
I
reduced
I
ratio.
can't be arsed arguing with him on this. He can have his fucking
Put your
Magnum in
shine
second
top
place. Let's move on.
1.5.
Right. Rapidmon. Or Mega Gargomon, because this card is so insanely good.
This shit carries the
Yeah.
deck so hard, man. Like this ace is fucking bonkers, man. And I feel like I mean, me and Renji have talked about this deck extensively, man, and I've been bitching about like things that don't work and things that do, but it's that ace is so crazy that it can take literally the rest of the deck is so mid, man, but it's the ace is so good that you're like, holy shit, but what if?
I mean,
But what if I aced you and stunned you and then killed you next turn?
I feel like it's so right though, because like, if you ever slip up and this ace hits you during your turn, that can just be a game loss instantly. Like,
Yeah, and there's also turns you can set up where they literally have no out to it, man, apart from like a bomb. Like if you go into the rapid and you can't be bounced, you can't be deleted by effect. It's immune to everything apart from D-Digivolve and DP minus. So like depending on what matchup you're in, you might just be like, right, well, I fucking can't play around the ace this turn. Like it absolutely scuds red hybrid. If you see one of those rapid mons and it's live, you literally like win against red hybrid, like for free. And it even gives you like a shot against Leviathan. It does feel like quite a hard matchup, man. But yeah.
I think when you're talking in green format specifically, it's so hard to tell because I mean obviously it's going to win that match, right? They're just going to win that fucking event because everyone's playing it. But
Aye, maybe they played Bloomlord the winter.
yeah, exactly. But like I mean, I played this Wednesday last week. I went 4-0, and it was like it was just
Aye.
silly. Granted, my third round, Cat had to drop, which was a thing, and we were 1-1, so like it could have went either way. It does have a really bad time against DigiPolice because they just keep spawning stuff, and if they manage to kill the Gargos, like that's a free Cargo Dramon on their turn, man. Do you know what I mean? So like it's pretty big in that regard. But like I had an absolute great time with it, just constantly having rapids on the board and having threats out there.
Also, let's just stick this in fucking DigiPolice, please, as a good card
I
to
mean-
play. You go into Brigade, you spit out the damn Cargo, and then you've got Ace Fodder for the Mega Gargo.
I mean, that's
next turn.
true.
Huge.
It's it'll be interesting to see what people do with it, and obviously it just goes from tier 2 to like tier 0. Well, maybe not tier 0, but it definitely goes to like tier 1 once Rapid X comes out.
Yeah.
But right now I think it's like it's fine. It probably needs a lot of backup to like support it. Leopard X goes nuts in it. Like being able to like go into Leopard X on stuff. I was playing against Nile, man, and I just felt bad. I'd have like something out, going to Leopard X. All right, for three, I'm gonna hard play level 5 Rapidmon, and I'm gonna bounce something now because I've got 3 Terriers on the board that's like 20k or less or whatever, right? And then next turn is like, well, you probably don't want to swing because I've now got a Rapid that can't be deleted or
It makes
bounced.
them really annoying to deal with boards.
Yeah, it's kind of silly, but I don't know how much it really holds up in a big meta,
Well, that one guy in Osk gets second with it.
Pretty decent.
So it can't be that bad. It's like I said this to you the other day, Renji. I'm like between this and Numamon for regionals, and I'm like, if I can make this work, I'll take this to regionals. And right now, there's just loads of kinks I'm trying to work out with it. Like as I do with every deck I'm committed to, I'm looking at the Japanese lists, and I'm like, what the hell? 50% of these have got to be ass, and yeah, a lot of it, like, see, I don't know if you've looked at the Oceania list, Renji, but a lot of the things I've spoke to you about, I'm like, yeah, this makes sense. Like, he's literally just playing Rapidmon level 4s. He's playing 14 rookies, because fuck me, you burn through rookies in this deck. There's just, like, lots of interesting things you can do with it, and we'll keep grinding with it, brother, and then maybe we'll take
Maybe it'll make sense. I'm a Gargomon enjoyer for sure. Shout out Bagargomon, but like,
He
I
goes
just
crazy, mate.
the amount of times I Evo and then draw a Rapidmon and I'm like, oh fuck me, like
Aye, my problem with the Gargomon in the deck is literally, like, unless he goes into the level 5 Rapid, he feels, like, useless. it's almost there to like make numbers up. You're like,
Yeah.
alright. But then sometimes I'll want to evolve into something because I've got nothing else to do, basically.
For sure.
Right. Now that you're done your Gargo rant, I think for now, probably sits somewhere around here. Like,
Yeah, agreed.
once it gets its extra cards, next set, absolutely fucking off to the races. But for now, it very much dies on the hill of, can your opponent respond to your rapid and stop the Gargo hitting? If so, get
Or they just bomb it for 4
I think
cost.
Would also like to point out, by the way, that
Bloomlord is
would
too
like
high.
to. Big Missile goes crazy in Green Metal. Remember this. Also, guys, if you're going to your spring break event, please put some Big Missiles in because it will come up. I'm
4
telling
big
you.
missiles, 4 leopard decks.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's your deck.
You heard it here first,
And
folks.
finally, all you listeners who have decided to stay with us on this 3 hours and 10 minutes roughly extravaganza, our final deck of the night, Yellow Vaccine.
so if we're just talking about my child,
Yellow
which is
Yellow
Hatamon,
vaccine,
then
I'm
it goes
tired,
into
we're
the
going
top of
Glasgow.
tier 1. But the second it digivolves, I don't care anymore and put him in the bin.
So honestly, like, I would put this here, but I know none of you will let me do that
I'll
because
let you
you're on
do
the
it.
Gallant hype train.
It's defo tier 2, mate. It's defo tier 2.
You-
It has had some results. The new stuff is crazy. Like, fucking the Anjabimon option card is just absolute bonkers value.
Yeah, I mean, you
It's like a shine.
The-
It's like a
right,
rune
the-
mode, just fucking off.
being
the
able
dome.
to have 4 cards that just say pay 4, go into any mega you want, and all 4 of, or having 8 level 5s that just say go into any mega you want, that are also insanely good on play, is just nuts.
Also having like an option card that says for 1 go into any Digimon you want.
Oh, it's so nuts.
Yeah.
Hang is though.
So
No, but hang
Just
is
keep on
though. I
banging
can't
them,
believe
yeah.
I'm about
Bang
to
them,
fucking
go on.
say this. Gallant is doing way better than Yellow Vaccine and Mirage Galgamon.
Gallant's had 1 top. What do you mean? What?
It's one. It won
Gallant won a tournament, mate.
last week's thingy event.
If we're going off of results, man, Gallant should be fucking just below Setcon.
Because vaccines had tops, right? But it's
like
not
made
done.
top
It's usually
16,
hard
but it's not
carried
really
by
went
like
higher than that.
yeah.
Nah, it's kind of not done anything major since it came out. It's had like 2 tops this format. I don't think it's never won an event, right? So it can't be that insane, but it does some good shit. Does some good shit, definitely. Which is what tier 2 is all about.
Yeah, I mean, I'll give you Gallant then. I still
Trust me,
think
brother.
the Gallant
don't
might
want-
have just been a surprise. Honestly,
I
I
don't
don't
want
think this
Gallant to
deserves
be there,
up
man.
here.
I don't want it. I hate it. I can't stand the Digimon. I think Gilmon's fucking stupid. But I've got to be objective.
I love
Did it
him.
not go 8-0?
Steve Blum, mate.
The-
No, mate. I'll tell you one thing, right? Gallant enjoyers mute the podcast, and Bryce will put a thing on screen to tell you when to unmute again.
Oh, you motherfucker!
The guy's tournament results. He got the bye, and then he got 4 Numemon. He got 1 Leviamon, and then something else, can't remember. But basically, he got carried because he got a bye, and then he paired into his best matchup 4
What did
times,
you win,
and then
Cobb?
he beat 1 Leviamon.
It's kind of funny.
No,
Wait,
what have you won?
what? Sorry, but I'm muting now. What are you saying, Adam? Top 16.
I
I always get, bro, the differences between this guy and me. I always get unlucky, bro. I'm
Gallimon
so
got easy
unlucky, bro. This,
victory.
bro, if I never got unlucky, I win 500 events by now, bro.
Every event.
Legit
I
though,
ever-
I'm
But it's like, I'm not
Yeah,
taking away
yeah.
for the guy, right? But he did get a good run at it, man. He won like six. I think it was a 6-round tournament as well, because they keep capping them at bloody 128 people for some reason. So he played 5 rounds. He played 4 Numemons and 1. It was either 4 or 3, right? He played a large amount of Numemons, so he was just farming Numemon all day with the 1 Crimson Blaze, and then he beat like 1 Leviamon. Props to him. Don't know what round it was in though. It could have been an earlier one, and then it could have just been an ass player, or I don't know. He had a good run at it, and fair play to him. He's taking a good. I mean, like, if you're playing Gallantmon this format, you're playing it because you want to farm Numemons, right? and then you've got some alright other matchups.
I still think it was element of surprise. People aren't expecting it. He's played well and he's gotten a good matchup chart up the ladder. Like, kudos to him. You've played well.
Yeah, GG's on
I
the
still
result,
don't think
like-
Gallant's the best
no
deck of the
one's
format.
saying
You just
that,
played
Bryce.
well.
Why are you
GG's.
fucking
No, it's
putting
not,
words
mate.
in
It's
our
not.
mouth?
I'm just saying it's
I know.
good.
Okay, let me
It's
let
fourth
me
in
rephrase
tier
that.
two.
I think Gallantmon's fucking doing
Wrong.
like here. Honest to God.
It's
better than
definitely
Mirage
better
at
than
the
Machine,
moment.
mate. It's definitely better than Machine.
Alright, better than Machine. but
It's better than
it's
Machine.
not better than Mirage.
Better than Machine. Better than
I
Beelzemon.
don't know, man. The deck is just cope. This is. I cannot
It
accept
doesn't
this.
die if you hit one bomb off the stack, people.
does
It,
die
keeps
if you-
going. He drops the big man for 2 memory, kills your
Oh,
board.
but bro,
Very
it gets
good.
protection next set. Right, well,
It doesn't.
let's end this before I go delusional and start talking more shite.
Aye.
Final tier list.
Take
Here it is.
Take Grace
Everything
Nova
Are we
from-
cleaning it
out
up
of
at
there
all
and
on
put it
that?
in fucking tier 3.
out of where it's not on the screen. So this is the end of our tier
Kill you.
list.
We're no cleaning
we're
it up
not.
at all. No, putting armor into 1-5. No.
No!
Right.
No!
Thank you
One
guys
last
for
chance to
listening.
make the kick. Yes.
Put Shine up there too then!
This is mine and Cobb's tier
No,
list.
right,
This is
no.
Adam's tier
My
list.
tier
and
list has
Renji, would you like me to
Fine
move
Longmon in the
anything
bed,
quickly?
mate.
Nah, I'm just
Fine.
happy to be here, man. It's cool.
Thank you very much
Let's
for
go.
being
I'm glad
here
you're
with
still
us.
happy to be here after 3 hours,
Yeah,
brother.
no, thank you for fucking toughing this one out of us.
Indeed.
Recording lasting 3.5 hours. Episode probably won't be
Renji,
as
just
long,
before
but
we
still.
go, where can we find you on your
Right.
socials?
So I am RenjiPls, please spelled PLS on most of the things. On Twitch and the YouTubes, we're coming back on the Digimon content on YouTube. I've had a very long break whilst I moved house and got medicated legally, I may add, through the system. Let's go.
Good man.
But, mon the doctors.
One of the doctors.
Mon the
Mon the
doctors.
doctors. But yeah, coming back to it on Digimon content. So if you want profiles and playthroughs and all that sort of stuff, and I think I'm still doing a profile for the channel ? I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's about it.
Send Renji
We
some
love
love, guys.
Renji,
This guy is
folks.
awesome. If any of you even watch us, right, then you should be subbed to Renji because he actually does professional content of a high level, and he frequently actually streams and stuff. So if you actually want content and you like content more than once every 2 or 3 weeks, then Renji's a
He'll give
brilliant,
links on
pods.
Screen,
delightful
boys.
human
Links
being.
Links
on
on
screen.
people.
I will. I actually get
Oh,
7 love on
man.
people every day.
I
That's
don't
how.
get any. I just have to go in and
it's like
feed
it's
my
like an
pet
influencer
vampire
buff.
or whatever the fuck it was. Bryce is too young for these sorts of comments.
Right. Well. You old man. Right. Anyways, thank you very much for listening and watching. We'll see yous in episode 4, I guess, is
Yes.
next.
Yes.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Clipping Adam. Bye. Love you.
That was fucking really long, man.
Right. Done.